Kid Cudi, welcome to Call Her Daddy.
Thank you for having me.
How are you doing today?
I'm fantastic. I feel really good. It's been crazy the past couple months. I filmed this movie that is really fucking gnarly, and I just wrapped last week. And yeah, so now I'm like back into work mode on the album and the memoir.
I was about to say, I'm like, wait, now you're throwing another curveball. I'm like, you're so fucking busy. I was like, you've had the most insane summer. You're going to continue to have an insane summer. You got married.
Yes.
Congrats.
Thank you.
So we have a wedding.
Yeah.
We have an album. And we have a memoir.
Yeah.
Do you sleep? Like, what's going on?
I do find time to sleep.
Okay.
I do. People don't understand when I do, but I do.
Right. It happens at some point.
Yeah.
We'll
definitely.
never know.
Yeah.
What do people close to you call you? Like, are people calling you Cudi? Are people calling you Scott?
No, I introduce myself to people as Scott.
Does your wife call you Scott?
We have pet names. She never says Scott, actually.
Give me one pet name.
Yeah, it's always Babe or Booski or something like that.
Booski. Yeah. Oh, that's cute. Okay, what should I call you today?
You can call me Scott.
Scott.
Yeah. You know, I feel weird introducing myself as Cudi.
Have you thought about, would you ever drop the kid?
I have thought about that.
Talk to me about it.
You know, I was thinking a couple weeks ago, I was talking to my good friend Jean-Baptiste, and I was like, man, you know, it would be so cool if I just like started a band, like, and just did like alternative, trippy, psychedelic shit, like real experimental, and just like it was just me and some other dudes in the band, and you know, I went by Cudi rather than Kid Cudi, you know.
What if you went full off the reservation and went Scott?
Yeah,
you just went Scott. You're like, what's up, everyone? It's Scott.
I don't know how cool Scott sounds, you know.
It's a little different than Cudi.
Yeah.
But like, you could make it have a ring to it. I agree it's a departure, but maybe one day you'll come out with a band.
Yeah, or maybe I'll go by Scotty or something.
Because I feel like you have to have a little bit of differentiation between your home life and the people that know you and get to call you Scott.
Yes.
You have really good fashion. I feel like everyone kind of knows that. Talk to me about your fashion, like how it's kind of evolved.
Oh man, I feel like now, you know, because I say maybe last year in the from 2020 to 2024, I was just really big on like colors and, you know, dyeing my hair different colors and stuff like that. I'm pretty sure everybody saw that. I was dyeing my hair every 2 weeks in different colors, and now since I turned 40, I've been like trying to find a balance of just like real casual, but like rock star.
I see this all
you know what I'm saying? Right? Yeah. And then like my shoes are all dirty and like, you know, not so polished, and I love buying vintage. I don't really go and buy new shit because I hate like wearing something and then seeing another motherfucker in it. And you know, like with rappers, it's all about like who has it first. You know what I mean? So they do these fit pics on their IG, and it's like such a thing, you know? And like, I just, you know, I love, you know, buying vintage because you can kind of be unique and also when you're shopping and you're buying vintage, like it's like you never know what's gonna fit you, you know? And that's how I really get lucky with these leather jackets. Everywhere I go, it's like I can find one that's like really good, you know? Yeah. And I have a secret spot in Paris that I get all my leather jackets from.
Wow, you're gatekeeping over here.
I'll tell you off the air.
Okay, fair.
I'll tell you off the air.
Come on.
Sure.
Thank you. Come on. Lola would approve. What is your biggest fashion mistake? Like, what did you use to wear that you're like, what the fuck was I doing?
I don't think I've had any fashion mistakes. I'm pretty, like, when I see old fit pics of me and stuff like that, I'm kind of like, oh, that was a good day.
You're proud.
Like, you know?
How do you feel about the fedoras? Would you ever bring it back?
I might.
Really?
I might. Because that's actually a good idea. It might be nice to bring back the fedora.
You think, though?
It could. I could pull it off. I could wear anything.
That's fair. Do you think your wife would like the fedora look?
I think she would be into it.
Okay.
Yeah, because she trusts me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Like,
she
you're
knows
not
I'm
going to
always,
make it. Yeah.
She knows I'm always going to show up and like show out.
I agree with you. There's some people that can literally put anything on and they just like have the aura that they can pull it off. Some men in a fedora, Scott, it wouldn't attract the ladies. Do you know what I mean? Do you know what I mean? It wouldn't make them feel like, oh, I want to get that. So I agree with you. Like maybe you can pull it off and maybe you'll bring it back.
Yeah, I would do it in a way where like even if I had a fedora on with this outfit, it could work. You know what I mean?
With the joint.
Yeah,
with the Solomon.
I mean, because this was my look back in like 2008, 2009. Like I used to wear the fedora all the time. That was like my thing.
You're going to bring it back. Talk to me about, obviously the internet is absolutely obsessed with you and Timothée Chalamet's friendship. They're like obsessed with you guys being friends. It's actually very cute. What is his best quality as a friend to you?
You know, the best quality about Timmy is that he's super genuine. Timmy is always Timmy with me, not the Timothy that people know and they see in the movies. You know, like when he's with me, we'll be sitting sometimes and like he's such a fan that he'll like you remember this? And start playing some shit that I released in like 2008. Like, this is a freestyle you put out. And I'll be like, damn, I haven't heard this in 15 years. And like, he just supports me and, you know, acting and music. And he's just a good listener. And like, I remember one New Year's, like 2020, he came over my house and it was just me and him and we just rang in the New Year together. You know, just like it was so dope. And like he's just a really good dude, you know, and I don't have a lot of like people in the business that I'm that close with. You know, it's just over the years I realized that, oh, okay, these are industry friendships and I have real friendships and Timmy is not an industry friendship. Like we are real friends. I've been to his childhood crib, like met his dad, you know, like hung out, like saw his old bedroom that he grew up in. You know what I mean? Like he still had everything in the same place.
So many women are like, I'm so fucking jealous of you right now, Scott. God damn it. Oh, that's really cute.
Yeah, but he was like, this is why I listen to Man on the Moon 1. And I sat at this desk and just listened day in, day out. And it was so cool to just kind of see, you know, his world. And but he's just a really good friend and he's always been there for me. And, you know, I like to send him records before I release them, right? And like I sent him this one. Well, he was in Italy, so this is how cool of a friend he is. He came to Italy to visit me when I was shooting "We Are Who We Are" with Luca, right? And he stayed at the villa. I had an extra room, so he stayed with me at the villa, right? And like I played him like some songs from my album Intergalactic, like maybe like a year before it came out, and I played him "Willing to Trust." And he just started bawling. Like he was like, it made him so emotional, you know? And that, and you know, Timmy always likes my stuff, but there's a range in like his reaction. Like sometimes he'll be vibing and be like, oh, this is dope, this is dope. And then sometimes he'll just get the fuck up and just really be going crazy and like, oh shit, you know what I mean? So this was another one of those moments where I knew, and that song is probably the illest song from Intergalactic, you know?
Well, it's cool to hear you talking about industry relationships, and obviously publicly it could look like an industry friendship, and then hearing you say you have a personal relationship that's way beyond just like a industry relationship is cool, because I know, which I want to get to with your memoir, like through your childhood you had a lot of like lonely moments, and even hearing you say like you don't have that many friends in the industry, I usually think is a big positive sign when I meet someone, because I think if you're just like kind of whoring yourself out to everyone and you're like a man of the people, I feel like it's like, how is that genuine and how do you invest that much time in that many people?
Exactly.
Back up, why now and why did you want to write this?
Man, I feel like I just went through a transformation in my life, and I was at this place where it was like 8 years I had been kind of on the lighter side of life, and I had learned so much, and I know, the fans really want to know my story, and they know bits and pieces because I've done interviews throughout the years and talked about my past and things like that. But there's so much that is in the book that I'm sure no one knows about.
The book is incredible.
Thank you.
Super vulnerable. Like, I love how you go all the way back to childhood. You talk a lot about your rise to fame, and you talk about some of the absolute darkest moments of your life.
Yeah.
I want to get into a lot of it today.
Okay.
Let's go back to the beginning where your book starts. Talk to me about what you were like as a kid in general.
Well, before my father died when I was 11, I was a really happy kid. Like we didn't have much, but my mom, was a great mom, and my dad was great. He was there for me. They divorced when I was 3, so I don't really remember like even living in the house with him. But he was still active in my life, and I saw him frequently. And I was a happy kid. I was goofy. I was the baby of the family, and it was like that for a while, but it wasn't until I was 11 when I lost my father where there became a change in me, and I feel like that pain that I endured when I was 11 stayed with me well into my early 30s,
When you talk about your relationship with your dad and that shift at 11, I thought it was interesting in the book how you talk about you as a child, you liked to spend time alone, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there was a shift pre his death and post his death of what that alone time felt and meant to you. Can you talk to me before your father passed about like, what did you like about hanging by yourself and being in your room? Like, what were you doing when you were alone?
I was just dreaming about what I would do in the future, whether it was because for a while I wanted to be a cartoonist. So thinking about that, and even thinking about being an actor, that was an early dream of mine.
In the book, you write a lot about how like school kind of forced you to come to terms with the way that you were different than some kids. Can you talk about what you meant by that?
Man, I felt that like around when I turned 15 or 16 when I was in high school, it was kind of like I lost interest with school altogether. And I started to think or kind of know, like I had this feeling that I was like, I don't need algebra. Like I'm going to be a rapper one day. You know what I mean? Like, what am I doing here? You know what I mean? Just sitting in class, like, this is a waste of time. 16. You know what I mean? And I always felt like I would watch other kids and see them focus on the test and see them studying. And I'll just be like, what am I doing here? And like, I just, and also I was very, like, I was the class clown. Like I was goofy as fuck. And that's kind of how I, camouflage some of the hurt and pain that I had inside me, was to kind of be silly, in some way.
It's interesting because a lot of times on the show, I ask people like, what is your earliest core memory that you can think of in childhood? And you obviously mentioned it and you wrote about it in your memoir of this.
I've always known it vividly. Yeah.
Which is so crazy because you were 3, right?
Yeah.
So you're 3 years old. You're in this car and you remember like your parents are shouting and they're going to get a divorce.
Yeah.
3 is so young, but obviously something in your body like brings you back to that moment and you can remember it and those feelings. Like, can you talk a little bit about when you were writing that, like what that brought up for you and why you chose to put that in the book?
Man, I felt that it was perfect because it would set the tone for the book. Because maybe some people's first memory is like something pleasant. And this was not. Like, though in the moment I didn't know that they were getting a divorce, but I saw my mom and dad like yelling at each other for the first time in my mind that I can remember. And like not understanding it, but being scared. And from there, it was like, you know, I felt like it set the tone for what you were going to read. You know what I mean? And there was a lot of dysfunction in my family, you know what I mean? Between my brother's antics and, you know, when I lost my dad and just being angry, an angry kid and my brother getting in trouble and stuff like that, me getting in trouble in school. And I kind of wanted to set the tone with that. And I felt like that the book had to start with my first memory. I thought it was important to just bring people in on that because some people can't even remember their first memory that young, 3 years old.
How do you think your parents' relationship kind of shaped your early ideas of love?
Well, the divorce didn't rock me because I saw my mom and dad still have respect for each other.
Which is rare.
Right. You know what I'm saying?
Great.
Like there was a respect there, you know? Like I never saw, other than that first memory, I never really saw my dad and my mom get into it after the divorce. Like there was always a respect. Like if my dad didn't come and see us for 2 weeks, my mom would be calling him like, yo, get up off your fucking couch and come see these kids. And he'd be like, all right, I'm on my way. You know what I mean? Like, you know, and he just had a respect for her. And it was, so I always look for that, you know, in relationships. And I don't think I always had that. Like, you know, some relationships I did and there were other problems we had. But that's like the core thing that I look for. Is like, man, like just seeing my mom take care of my dad when he was dying. Like, and my dad had 3 wives. My mom was the third. You know what I mean? So like nobody else came to take care of him. Nobody checked in. You know, we paid for the funeral, you know. And I just saw, I was like, man, that's what I want. Like, I want to ride or die. You know what I mean? Somebody that's going to take care of me, you know, no matter what, you know? So I always kept that in mind. And yeah, I just thought that was a real powerful thing to see as a kid.
Reading that was like nice to see for you, that you had that vision of like, oh, it can be amicable and it can just be family. You don't need to be in love and together, but at least we're all still riding for each other and showing up for each other.
Right.
After the divorce, you lived with your mom.
Yeah.
Your relationship with your mom sounds incredible and lovely. Can you talk about, though, growing up when you were young, what it was like?
Yeah. Man, me and my mom were very close. I was like her little partner in crime. Like when she went to go run errands, I was there. So you want to come with me to the grocery store? I'm like, yeah, sure. Like just hanging around. I was that kid. And then when people would come like, oh my God, how old are you? I would just hide behind her leg like, no.
Why can I like literally picture that?
Yeah, like I was super shy and, you know, my mom was like, tell me how old you are. And I'm like, 5.
You're like, Mom, who the fuck is that weirdo?
Who is this person? I never wanted to meet strangers. I was always like, who is this? But no, like we've always, and my mom lived in LA from 2023 to just this weekend she moved back to Cleveland. And it was so sad for me because, and I gave her a copy of the memoir and I signed it for her. And it was so sad for me. Like I cried. I haven't like cried like in that way about like that. I felt like I really cherished her being in LA. I spent years, like 15 years away from her living in Cleveland, me living in LA, only seeing her on holidays. And she was out here and I could just drive 30 minutes to see her. And that's something I always wanted, was my mom to live in LA with me, like, and kick it. And like, I just like, nah, like it was brief because then I thought about it. It was coming from a place from like this place of saying like I'm gonna be alone now.
Mm.
But then I realized like I'm married. Like I have a wife that's gonna hold me down. You know what I mean? This is not like before, Scott, like 4 years ago when you were living on your own and like you had no one around. Like you have a partner. You know what I mean? So then I was like, oh, that's right. I'm not alone. I'm not, what am I saying? You know?
Why is she leaving?
She was here because she was dealing with some health issues and I got her the best doctors in LA, but her life is in Cleveland. She has all these friends there and she doesn't really know anybody out here. And it was good because, we needed to get her to some good doctors, you know what I mean? But we got it all set up in Cleveland now. And she just wanted to be back home with her friends. And, she's trying to kick it.
Right. She's like, I got a life too, Scott.
She's like, I got friends. Like, I got a whole life that I don't have anymore.
You're like, I'm your life, mom. Come back.
I was literally keeping her hostage. Like, I was like, you're not going back. You're staying here with me. But you know what was crazy? When I was a kid, I used to come up to my mom when I was like 4 or 5 years old. And I'll say, Mom, when I get older, you're going to live with me and my wife. And she would be like, boy, you ain't gonna want me to live in the house with you. So right when she moved in, I was like, didn't I tell you you was gonna live with me one day? And she just laughed. I was like, I wasn't playing games. I was dead serious.
I kept my word.
Yeah.
She's like, shit,
yeah.
okay.
She's like, you did say that. I was like, I told you, it's not a game.
She's now the one that's like, I'm leaving, actually. It's not it's cracked up to me.
Yeah.
I'm getting the fuck out of here. Okay, let's circle back to your father. We're going to talk obviously about the moment with his death and how it impacts you. I know we've kind of touched it, but before we get there, I do want to go back a little bit, hearing your relationship with your mother growing up. You talk about your struggles with your relationship growing up with your father in the book. Can you talk about what do you think was preventing you guys from being close?
I think it was my age, like really, like because my older siblings kind of got a different side of him that I never got a chance to get because I was just so young, And I think like sometimes he would open up to me and give me advice and stuff like that. But it wasn't like what my older siblings were getting, the information, like even my sister Maisha, like she has so many stories about like her and dad spending time together and like, she told me this one story about how like they were in the backyard looking at butterflies and like catching butterflies. And he told her that like, if you sing to a butterfly, it'll come to you, something really beautiful like that. And I'm just like, I don't have those memories with my dad. You know what I mean? Like we never bonded in that way, I mean, I know he loved me, you know what I'm saying? He was definitely loving and like caring and all that, but he was a very serious man. And when I think about my dad's life, he was in World War II in the Air Force. Like he saw some shit, you know what I'm saying? And like, he just was just a real serious dude. I mean, he had a silly side sometimes, but it'd be very rare. You know what I mean?
When you look back, like, how do you feel the distance that you had from your dad growing up impacted you before his death? Like whether it was your personality or the way that you would move at home.
It fucked me up because I would always hope getting older would bring me closer to my dad. And it got ripped away from me, that possibility. You know what I mean? And like literally I thought like, who's gonna teach me how to be a man now? Like I thought that. Like at 12, 13, like who's gonna give me advice on women and like, things like that,
Yeah, that's interesting because it's like you're saying in your core, you know a big part of why you couldn't be as close is because of your age, being the youngest. You're watching your older siblings have these different relationships. And in your head as a kid, all you obviously want is to be close to your parents and be loved by your parents. And so you're like, all right, my time is coming. My time is fucking coming. Once I hit that age, and then your dad passes away when you're 11. How did you even like process that grief when it all happened?
Oh, I didn't. I pretended like it didn't happen. Like it was no time to really, grieve, because it's four of us, right? And my sister took it the hardest. She was 18 at the time, and yeah, she took it the hardest. And I was that kid, like, hey, I don't want to be an extra burden to anybody. Like, let me just kind of keep to myself and keep on chugging along, and not worry my mom. Just be cool.
That's what's so weird about family and sibling dynamics is like, I'm also the youngest, and you just have your dynamics where like whether if the oldest is more introverted or extrovert or whatever, then the next one applies to like it acts however works with the one above, and it's all this shit. So hearing you be like, my sister was the most outwardly affected and upset.
Yeah.
You obviously kept it inside and pretended like it didn't happen. Obviously that level of grief is still in you.
Oh yeah.
It just wasn't being shown and you didn't know how to process it. Like, can you try to explain how losing your father started to show up a little bit in your life after he'd passed?
Yeah. I feel like it was like a immediate thing. Like school became really less important, and I was getting in trouble, and stressing my mom out more and acting out because I was just an angry teen, you know. And that was pretty much my whole teens, my whole middle school, high school. I was just not a good student, didn't apply myself. And I say it was like that even well into my career. Like once I got successful, I was just, at the core of me was just anger, you know?
Yeah, because it was like you said, it was stripped from me. Like,
Yeah.
my future of learning all these things and these memories, like I don't have. And so then you kind of like dissociate and you just go about your life, and then it keeps seeping out. And you're saying like you were experiencing this anger. I know you write though about obviously of like how now you are who you are.
Mm-hmm.
There was an outlet, and that happened to be writing. Talk to me about how you started to lean more towards that and put your feelings into your writing.
Man, it's like this thing where I didn't have like, well, I'm not saying I couldn't talk to my mom.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure she, could have said something amazing to get me out of my funk. But I still felt like I needed to have these like private, writings to myself with my thoughts. And it was like important for me at the time to have some type of outlet to express myself. And a lot of the times I would just sit there and just write about like the pain I was feeling, or like a memory that me and my dad shared, the funeral, what it was like, what I saw. And that kind of like informed the Kid Cudi stuff too. Once I got going and writing music, like being honest and telling my story and talking about my feelings was like key components to my earlier recordings.
I also think what you just said about your mom and you being like, I probably could have gone to her, but I really needed an outlet. Like, whether anyone is trying to get into music or not, I think that writing in general, your feelings, is at first it can feel foreign to some people because they're like, what the fuck will I write? But when you're going to have a conversation like you're with your mom or a friend or a family member, you're just now trying to basically say something and look for something back that will make you feel better. When you're pen to paper sitting there alone, you're getting nothing back. So you're forced to just like keep going and going and opening up more and more and more. And then you're just realizing how much there is. And it's therapeutic. In times it hurts, but it feels like that early Kid Cudi stage, like you said, there was a lot of anger. And it makes sense why, though, writing could be therapeutic to you because at least you were putting it somewhere.
Yeah.
Right?
There was some release. Yeah.
You drop out of college and you decide to pursue music full time.
Yeah.
How did you decide that was the right decision? And how did your mom feel?
My mom was, I tried. I wasn't really in it. You know, I hated the classes. Like, my grades there were terrible. My only class that I got good grades in was English.
There you go.
You know
See, Scott?
Like, English, I was on fire.
Yeah, you were.
You know what I'm saying? When it came time to write an essay, I was like, what is it about? How many pages? 10? 20? I got you. Like, I was the best essay writer. Like, my pen game was strong.
Of course.
But yeah, she, understood it, and I was passionate about music, and she had no choice but to support me, And what's she gonna do? Like, leave me out there on my own in New York? You know what I mean? She had to, like, honor me and let me go out and pursue my dreams.
Was there ever a point that you considered early days giving up? No.
I was crazy. I was out of my mind. There was no glimmer of hope. There was nothing in the distance that would make me feel like this was gonna happen. But I knew. Like, I was just like, this is, I dream it and I can see it crystal clear in my mind. Like, I can see it. I can touch it. It's right there in front of me. I got to get there. And before I left Cleveland, I had this moment where I was smoking a cigarette and I sat on my Honda, right? And I looked up at the sky and I was like, God, I know that this is the right thing to do, me moving to New York. I'm going to do everything I can to get where I want to go. I just need you to meet me halfway. It's like, if I'm doing the right thing, just give me a sign. And I looked up at the clouds. Of course, I didn't see anything. But I just like left, finished my cigarette, went back in the house. And I was just like, I had armor. You know what I mean? I had like armor on my back. I was like, oh, he got me. He gonna hold me down,
And then Day and Night.
Yeah.
Absolutely changed your life.
Yeah. Yeah.
Tell me about how you wrote that song and how it came to you. Because it is kind of like you looked up at the sky and maybe there wasn't a sign then, but you kind of write about it in your memoir, like it eventually happened.
Yeah. Like, so the melody just came to me one day, just fucking around. Me and my cousin Richie, my family out in Brooklyn in New York, we would always joke around and make songs, silly songs and shit like that. And I had essentially the Day and Night melody as like a silly song that we would do and sing together.
Like, what were you singing?
It was like we were singing like the Day and Night melodies, but like, it didn't have lyrics or anything. It was just like, and I was just like, right? So I had this melody like in my head for months. And I finally get in the studio with Dot, and I'm like, bro, I got this joint. I really think it's fire. I think I need you to just make this beat. I'm gonna give you the melody, and we're gonna put it together. And like we cooked it. It took about 2 days, and it was just magic. It was because the melody just came to me out of nowhere. The universe just downloaded this melody into my head. And like, I don't know where it came from, but it just stuck in my head. And it never happens to me. Like, it's not like I get melodies and they stay with me for months, you know? Like, it never happens. I always forget it. Like minutes later, I'm like, fuck, what was that melody? If I don't put it in my phone, it's gone, you know? So like, for some reason, I don't know if this is before the drugs got me. No, I think this is before the drugs got me, so my mind was a little bit stronger. But stay away from cocaine. But
kids, you're watching.
Yeah.
Shit, and there it was.
Yeah.
Did you realize immediately once it was live that your life was about to change forever?
Oh yeah, I knew. Like I knew it, but I've been crazy this whole time. I've been crazy for a while now at this point. So it's like I had nothing to lose. I had shit to lose. I don't even think at that point I had a job. Like I didn't have nothing to lose. I was out there in New York. I had a place to stay. That's the one thing people are worried about, you know, where they're gonna fucking stay. I had a place to stay. I had a collaborator I was building a rapport with that we had crazy chemistry. Like I had nothing to lose. I believed in Dot, like he believed in me, and it was pure magic. It was pure magic. Like how I found Dot, how we became like I worked at Abercrombie and Fitch. I met Rillawan in the stock room when we were folding clothes, freestyling together. He said, "Yo, I got a producer you should meet. It's my dude Dot. He's real fucking dope." Met up with Dot, got in the studio with him, cooked 3 records in one night. And I was like, oh, this dude is like, he ill. And plus Dot is like classically trained, like crazy pianist. You know what I mean? Like, and yeah, it was just, that's something, man. That's the angels brought us together, man.
When you even explain that story, like I can see you physically lighting up because obviously that time in your life probably feels worlds away and also like it was yesterday maybe. Yeah. But what does it make you feel for like young Scott working at Abercrombie? I love how like it was so random. Abercrombie, love that. Shout out Abercrombie. It all went down.
The fucking soundtrack in the store was just intense. There was this one song that they did. I used to come every time it came on. I ran out to the floor to listen to it. It was this one remix of if you're going to San Francisco. Like it came on and I'll just be out there like, oh, hey, jamming every time. It was me and a couple other people who really liked the song too.
They're like, Scott, back to the desk. Yeah. What the fuck are you doing?
They'd be pissed coming out on the floor and I'm not bringing out clothes. But nah, like just how that happened, you know, like me just getting, and I was so happy about getting the Abercrombie job because I was like, oh, there's so many young people there.
Yeah.
I can meet people my age, make friends. I didn't really have any friends at this time. You know what I mean?
That was something that I thought was really interesting. You wrote about how this happens, but then you're still going to that job. And I remember one of the lines you write, you're like, I'm standing there. People are like, oh my God, Cudi, like your music is fucking awesome. I'll take a size medium.
Yeah.
And you were like, I need to get the fuck out of here. Yeah. Like, how did it feel when you started having your first fan interactions? Like, were you cool with it? Was it starting to feel a little uncomfortable immediately?
Yeah, it was uncomfortable immediately.
Why do you think that is?
Because I don't think in my mind I was ready for that energy. Like I was not prepared, and I don't think there's anything that anyone could have told me to prepare me but I was not prepared for it. I wasn't at the time built for it. And it threw me off. It because you spend what 24 years of your life just being a dude, you know, and then all of a sudden you are the fucking man, and then you can tell when you meet people and they have interest in you only because of who you are, and they don't know who you are, and you can see just looking in their face, looking in their eyes, you can tell when someone's being genuine, and they're always not. It's always someone putting on a fucking role. You know what I mean? And it was very yeah, it fucked me up, man. And that's what drove me to using hardcore drugs like cocaine. I really just needed something to calm my nerves when I went out, or you know just do certain things that, like, even just really was leaving the house. Because if I didn't do cocaine, I'd be in the house all day long. But like if I did coke, then I was like, oh shit, now it's time to hit the streets, and had energy. And it was, if I met fans, it'd be different because I'm just on the shit. So I'm just like, hey, what's up, man? What's up? I want to talk to everybody.
I want to get to that, but I just had a thought when you were saying, you weren't prepared for this. And I agree. Like, I don't know if anyone is, but I want your opinion on, like, in your personal life. I know I wrote down you had written, becoming Kid Cudi was supposed to overhaul the entire world Scott had known. And then you get to fame and you're like, what the fuck is this shit? You mentioned the relationships in your life, you starting to have to be like, are you here for the right reasons? Are you here for the... Can you recall like any specific moment in your life where you remember being like, oh fuck, like I'm completely, whether it's being used or this is a fake relationship that I just didn't see and they're in it because I'm famous?
There were definitely moments with like women, trying to navigate, just being single in New York and successful is, man, it's hard, and it was fucking like hard. And a lot of people that I was kicking it with, I usually party with. We just get fucked up, you know? So it wasn't like anything good. It was all just rock and roll and madness. And, it's just started to eat away at me, like, after a while. It's like, this is not serving me. It's not making me happy,
You wrote about a few of your relationships in the book, one of them being Cassie. Obviously, that is always going to be a big conversation online. And you were with her, obviously, during a very dark time of what she was going through with Diddy. During that time, your house was broken into, your car was lit on fire. What do you just like overall remember about that time and that relationship in your life? I can't believe I finally get to say this. Call Her Daddy is brought to you by Stouffer's. You don't even understand. Daddy Gang, let me set the scene for you, okay? It is 6 o'clock. You get home after a long, stressful day of work and you feel like you can't make one more decision, right? You're burnt out, you're tired, but you realize you're starving. It is dinner time, but even just thinking about what to make feels so overwhelming, okay? The fridge is empty, obviously. The idea of cooking sounds miserable and all you want is something easy, delicious, and satisfying. That is where Stouffer's comes in hot, literally. When the clock strikes dinner, think Stouffer's, because that is literally what I did my entire childhood, okay? Dinner dread is real, and as someone who hates to cook, figuring out what to make or even just to like order, I don't need that stress in my life. I really don't. I cannot tell you how many times I've been so grateful to come home. I open the freezer, boom, Stouffer's, boom, which one do I want? Okay. Whether it's a slow night or a night in with Matt, Stouffer's has been my favorite tasty meal since day one. Shout out to my mother. She and I would eat the mac and cheese. That was like a weekly staple. Their lasagna is actually incredible. Oh my God, the Swedish meatballs, my favorite. Oh my God, the turkey mashed potatoes with the gravy. Oh my God, the turkey tetrazzini, you guys. Stouffer's delivers big on flavor with great ingredients in every single frozen meal. For nearly 100 years, it has been the dependable choice for bringing friends and family together so we all can spend less time cooking and more time enjoying the moment. So skip the chaos, cancel the internal dinner debate, and solve dinner dread with Stouffer's. Shop now at your nearest retailer today. Stouffer's, I love you. You wrote about a few of your relationships in the book, one of them being Cassie. Obviously, that is always going to be a big conversation online. And you were with her, obviously, during a very dark time of what she was going through with Diddy. During that time, your house was broken into, your car was lit on fire. What do you just like overall remember about that time and that relationship in your life?
Yeah, it was crazy, man. Like, you know, man, in the moment, it was just crazy. Like, I had a hard time understanding if it was reality. Like, I was like, am I in a movie? What the fuck is going on? And like, it's so great. You read the book, right?
Yes.
I want you to listen to the memoir. I scored the memoir. I was just in the studio last night. I finished it up, right? So like I score a lot of the different bits in the book. And in this moment, I scored a lot of different beats and it brings it to life. But it was, just chaotic and intense. And you know, I I I wasn't like I was already out of my mind dealing with my own personal shit. So um I was really just like, fuck it, you know? Like I just was willing to walk into the fire and so it's just it was just in my I always thought about it before all this stuff happened and it came out again. I just over the years I just thought about it as like just some wild shit that happened in my rock and roll life. You know what I'm saying? Like I just you know, it was just some crazy shit that happened, you know?
You testified in court.
Yeah.
How did you feel going into that situation?
Oh man. I felt I was calm, you know? I I was just I was there because I had to be. Like I first they asked, I said no. They asked again, I said no. Then I got subpoenaed. And I was like, fuck. Shit. No. Then I'm thinking about like, what do I wear, man? Do I have to be like fucking suit or something? I was like, man, fuck this shit. This is what I'm wearing today. I'm going to the fucking shit in this. I'm not dressing up for this shit. Like wearing some hard bottoms to shit. I'm wearing some fucking Solomons and I'm coming in there with my Levi's and my leather jacket and that's it, you know? But I hated every minute of it. Like I did not want to do it. But then I thought about, when I was up there, you know, I'm 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 here to support Cassie. And, you know, Cassie is my friend, you know, and I love her and I want to see her do well. When I saw her get married, I was so happy for her, you know, that she found someone, her person. When I saw that she was having kids, I was like, oh, this is so awesome. You know what I mean? Like, I've always just wanted to see her, you know, thrive and do well and be happy, you know, because I know she was living a nightmare. And I just was there to support her. That's what kind of gave me peace with it when I sat down in that chair. It was just about, damn, I don't want to do this, to being like, oh man, I gotta like hold homegirl down and like, you know, look out for her, you know.
No, that's beautiful. Looking back, obviously not at everything that was done in court, when you actually were like living all of this as we described, where you were like, it felt literally like otherworldly. I'm like, is this my life right now? How did that experience affect the way that you felt about people in this industry and just like what you had gotten yourself into in your career?
Oh man, I already had a like I was already standoffish from the industry, so it just made me even more.
Freaked out.
Yeah, I was like,
Yeah.
man, this shit is crazy, you know. So I was already kind of sheltered in my own little space with my
Yeah.
small group of friends, but this is like, and that's kind of like the thing about LA. It's like if you see me somewhere, it's like they're seeing like a monk that they haven't seen in like 100 years. And oh, Cudi here? He don't be nowhere. Like you don't see me. I'm not out in these
You
streets.
just don't go
I
out.
don't go out.
You don't leave your house.
Like I don't now, and I didn't in my 30s really.
Okay, so you just were like keeping to yourself for a while.
Yeah.
That's what I want to go to. I know you wrote in the book and you mentioned a couple times, but let's get more into it. You say that grappling with fame essentially is what kind of pushed you towards drugs.
Yeah.
What do you remember feeling the first time that you tried cocaine?
100% happiness. It was like the feeling I got was nothing I had ever felt before. It was fucking magical. And but I will say this. That's the only time it felt like that. All the other times after, I was just chasing that first high. And it was never getting there. It never felt like that first time ever again. Like,
It's good to clarify.
yeah. So I just wanted to, I know kids might be watching this podcast, you know what I'm saying? I don't want to be like saying like,
No. I think it's part of your story. And I know we're getting to like, obviously, that was a huge part of,
yeah,
we'll get to rehab and recovery, but still, like, there was a part of your life where you were at a place where you were relying on drugs, and that's your story. And
Yeah.
but you're also here today to tell the story. And I think there's a lot of people that don't have the courage to even say these type of things out loud and like
Yeah.
own that. And I think this another reason why, again, you are so successful is because you're connecting with people on real shit. Like
Yeah.
there's probably also a lot of fucking people listening and watching today that have an addiction. So
Yeah.
hearing you acknowledge that, like, I think it's, thank you, honestly.
Yeah.
So you talk about how you only would do coke alone.
Yeah.
Why was that?
I think it was just supposed to be my little secret. Like I didn't want it to be like a known thing that like I did coke around the industry. That would have spread fast, you know? So I just like kind of kept it to myself. That doesn't mean like people couldn't tell I was on it. You know what I mean? Like people could probably figure it out, you know?
You write about how your album, Speeding Bullet to Heaven, it was written essentially during one of the darkest times of your life.
Yeah.
Can you talk to me about where you were at mentally while writing that album?
Oh, I wanted to die for sure. Yeah. I didn't want to, I was like, fuck it. I'm just gonna play the guitar and shred and I don't give a fuck if people like it or not. This is how I feel. I just feel angry as fuck. And I just wanted an excuse to like scream on records, and express that anger.
You said essentially that you wanted that album to be your goodbye.
Yeah.
Like you were planning on taking your life and you either wanted to do it during or after it released or you weren't sure, but like that was going to be your goodbye.
Yeah.
Did anyone close to you in your life know that you were struggling that bad?
I don't think so. I kept it because when I was around my friends, I was happy to not be alone. So I was like back to, you know what I mean? I could keep it to myself. I never wanted to worry my friends. There's some people that deal with these things and they like to like put it on other people and shit. I never wanted that to be. I don't want people to be, oh man, Scott calling me again. He's, you know what I mean? Like I was like, look, I'm gonna just deal with my shit by myself. Like I'll be cool. I can maintain. I got a daughter. I want to be here for her. You know what I mean? Like just all the thoughts that I need to think to keep me from going down that dark path.
What was your rock bottom moment?
Man, I think it was during that time. 2016 was bad too. That's when I finally went to rehab. Because I relapsed and started using again. Um, I would say from 2015 to 2016, it was like the decline getting just darker and darker and darker. And um suicide was on my mind like all the time. Like I would like daydream about the shit, you know? And I just when I finally when I relapsed and I was like kind of faced with this reality, like, damn, like it's been 6 years since I've used this shit. And I thought I was past that. And I'm obviously not. Like, that was fucking me up, you know. It was just kind of like, man, I don't want to go in circles. Like, I'm supposed to like be off this shit. I'm getting older. Like I'm in my 30s. Like, people don't want to keep seeing you be a fuck up. You got to get your life together, bro. You're not in your 20s no more. You're not just out here. You know what I mean? So it was kind of like this reality check I needed, and I went and got help. You know, I'm glad I did at the time. At that time, because you know, something would have happened for sure. You know what I mean? And uh, ever since then, like I haven't been like, yeah, I get down about some things, but then I get over it. Like before, shit would hit me for like weeks. Something bad happens, I'm like in the house for weeks, just like miserable. But, you know, ever since 2016, I've been like 1,000 times better. Like, it's so funny because like Lola, we were hanging out one time, it was like maybe 2 years ago, and she we were we were talking about 2010 for me and what I was going through and all this shit. And I um told her I got arrested, you know, and they found drugs on me. And she was like, "What?" And I was like, "All right, let me find the article and let you read this shit." So she's reading it and she starts laughing. She's like, "I don't know who this person is." She's like, all I know is the sweet Scott that I've known for like years now. Like, I don't know this is so funny to me. Like, I'm not even concerned because I know you're past this point in your life. I know that enough to know that, you know? And like, she just looks at it like it's a silly thing, You know, and then it made me kind of, in that moment, I found peace with it, because I always was kind of, uh, bummed out about that. I thought that, it was like a dent in my armor a little bit. Um, but that made me feel okay about it. I was like, damn, my girl's not even like judging me. She's like laughing, like, what the fuck? Like, this is fucking crazy. Like, you know?
That's really interesting though to like think about that you had, understandably, you lived it. That was
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
I mean, reading in the book, and everyone please go read it, but there's like that really hard moment where you are like, I literally took so much coke that I'm like laying on the floor.
Mm-hmm.
And then like I wake up and I'm like, it's a complete different day. And you were like, I'm on my back and I'm like, I think this is it. Like I think, and thinking about that version, thinking about that article version, all of this. And then your wife now is like, you're not that person though anymore.
Yeah.
Sometimes it does take someone to pull you out of,
Yeah.
because we've lived it and it's still a part of you, but
Yeah.
it's not you anymore.
Yeah.
And that's really beautiful that she was able to just be like, I got you. I got you.
Basically,
Okay. That's not you anymore. Okay.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh shit, I guess it's not.
Yeah, exactly.
But can you talk about rehab? Because I do think it's really interesting the way that you write about this moment, specifically about how it also kind of forced you going to rehab to process a lot of the trauma, right? Mm-hmm. Like you had not even thought about how to process your father. And now you're in rehab and you're starting to talk about your mental health for the first time. Like, can you share a little bit about what that was like for you?
Man, it was freeing for me. There was a lot of things that, I hadn't talked about ever, and it was very frustrating at first. Just having some stranger ask you really personal questions about your life. And in rehab, the therapy is like, some of the sessions can be kind of heavy, just the the approach that the therapist may take. But there's other therapists in there that are super cool. But yeah, it was difficult at first, but then it got easier. The more I felt comfortable with the people, um, allowed me to open up about things that I was hurt about, from long ago as a kid, that I didn't know really affected me. And it was a beautiful thing, because by the time I was in there for a month. By the time I left, I was feeling a whole lot better. As you know, I had a stroke. So I was coming out of that. It was maybe like 2 weeks, and I was still, I had, uh, you know, slow speech, and I was doing kind of therapy every week with this lady that kind of played these little games, and like, where they like show you a picture of a dog or a cat or something, and you have to like say dog, and like I would just look at the picture of a dog and be like, I couldn't fucking say it. That was scary, man. I was like, man, I don't know. I was like, dear God, I was like, please let me bounce back from this. That was super scary. But all throughout that, even though I was dealing with the the stroke stuff, you know, um, I was still very much happy. Like I was in the light, you know, and I just felt brand new. All of a sudden, I just felt brand new. It was crazy.
You mentioned you talked through a lot of things eventually as you started to feel comfortable in rehab, that you were like, okay, I had kind of been carrying this that I didn't realize I was carrying it. Like, do you have anything you could share that was something you were able to kind of let go of, that you realized had been really weighing you down for so fucking long?
Yeah, I think it was really truly my anger. I was a hothead for a long time, a long time. And that was my main issue. Um, and whether it's being mad at ex-girlfriends or mad at my mom about something or, just angry at life itself. Like I was able to kind of overcome that, And it was like, for me, that was what was secretly like weighing me down, holding me back. Cause I'm like, in my core, what I realize is that like, no, it's like, Scott, you're a good dude. Some shitty people and you're not a shitty person, you know? So it was like, I had that, you know? And I like, at times you would see this good dude. Like if me and you met when I was 28, you would have not known the difference. I mean, I would have been high as a kite, but I still would have been chill and like, you know what I mean? But like you wouldn't have walked away from the conversation like worried about me. You know what I mean? But like yeah, it's all
Yeah.
it's all different, you know.
Do you have any, from your experience, any words of advice to anyone listening who maybe is actually currently right now going through their rock bottom moment?
Man, I had a conversation with a good friend of mine, Omar, um a month ago. And he was telling me, he was like, "Man, when you in your darkest moment, like, and you like wondering why God is doing this, like, think that like maybe he's like teach you a lesson. You don't might not get it yet, but there's a lesson here. He's trying to help you grow or something, understand something. Like there's a message. This is not just happening for no reason, you know?" And I think that that was one of the things, learning that, like hearing him say that, because I was dealing with some stressful shit. And when he did that, I started like, oh, that's right, because I need to do this better and like get off that shit. And oh, fuck, oh, damn, okay, I get it, you know? So I feel like in life, when you're dealing with something, just always take a step back. Always take a step back and think about the bigger picture. There's a lesson here, you know? And all these lessons, all the things you learn will mold you into the human you're going to be in the future. If you're young, you know what I mean, in your teens, early 20s, like just keep this in mind. Like, you know, everything happens on purpose. You know what I mean? Like it's meant to go that way. You know what I mean? It's all part of the design, you know?
And I think when you have that perspective, like you're saying, like, fuck, this is happening for a reason, it also then inherently gives someone hope if they have that perspective.
Yeah.
Like someone in that situation right now listening to you is like, oh, there's, if he's up there and he's doing this for a reason, I'm learning and there's a lesson in this, like it gives you hope that there's like another chapter coming.
Exactly.
You got to just push through the discomfort and the pain, and not saying it's fucking easy, but it gives you something to look forward to. Yeah. There is then a light that you can like focus on and be like, okay, I fucking got this.
Yeah.
You write about how you saw this shift in your life after learning to love yourself, which sounds maybe simple to people, but I think there's a lot of people who don't, and it's actually a lot harder than it is to like yourself, and then to love yourself is another fucking step.
Yeah.
What did self-acceptance change for you? What did self-acceptance change for you?
Oh man, I think I was able to be nicer to myself. Like that was one thing. It was just like, Scott, you're doing all right. Like, look at what you've accomplished. Even when you was dealing with shit, like when you were your most depressed, you still made art. You know what I mean? And it's helping people. You know what I mean? Like you're okay. Like, you're all good. And this is before Lola. I was thinking this way. So I was alone, didn't really have nothing going on. I was on and off again with this one girl, but I knew that shit wasn't gonna work out. And, but it was different. I was in love with myself for the first time in my life, you know?
Let's talk about your wife.
Yeah.
You need to tell me the story of how you guys met.
Okay, so I walked in Virgil Abloh's first Louis Vuitton show in Paris. And we met while I was doing a fitting. And she took pictures of me for the board. And, I'm just sitting there and I'm just looking at this. I'm standing there and I'm looking at this girl. And I'm like, yo, who is this little cutie? Like, with these glasses. Like, she's so cute. And she takes my picture. She's like, okay, thank you. Look back at her. I'm like, okay, about her business. I like that. Not tripping on me. Cool, cool. Man, if I see her again, I'm gonna ask for her number. You know what I mean? And literally right after the show, all I could think about was meeting the girl with the glasses. Like, I was just running around. Like, that was like the only thing on my mind. And I saw her. She was like standing right there talking to one of her homegirls. And I went up. I didn't even introduce myself. I didn't even ask her name. I just was like, because I had to leave. I had to get changed and shit. And I don't know if I changed or if I was still in the outfit from the show. But I was rushing to get to my crew so we could leave. And I just came up on her and I was like, hey, excuse me, can I ask you a question? She's like, yeah. I was like, do you have a boyfriend?
Scott.
I just would cut straight to the chase because I don't want to waste my time, man. I was like, I don't want to get my hopes up, like being thirsty about this girl. She got a man, you know what I mean? So I just wanted to get straight to the point. She said no. I was like, oh, in my head, I was like, perfect. And I was just like, can I have your number? And she was like, yeah. And she gave me her number, put her name in the phone as Lola because I didn't even ask her fucking name.
Oh
I
my
was
God.
such a goof. And we hung out that night at the after party. And it's so funny because I had on this Tom Ford suit, this 3-piece Tom Ford suit. And it was I was too clean. I was too clean. And she always says, she was like, you tricked me. I was like, what you mean? She was like, first time we hung out, you was in this fly ass suit. I ain't seen you in a suit since. I was like, fuck, you're right.
Really, God damn it. She thought she was getting one thing, and now I'm in my fucking Solomons with my ripped jeans. God damn it. I'm sorry. I love you, babe.
I know.
So real.
I told her I'm gonna get back to the suits though. I'm trying to get there. I got this thing with YSL going, so like, I'm trying to get back to my suits.
Yeah, you're coming back. You're coming back. Yeah. Okay, wait. So did you guys hit it off immediately though, or was it a slow burn? Like, did you guys start dating?
No. We were friends for a couple years, few years. Yeah, and she always told me, she was like, when we first started talking, me and my friends were just like, what does he want from you?
Wait, I'm obsessed. That's so girls being like, what the fuck does he want? Like, what's his agenda?
She said I would text and be like, and she would be like, Cudi just text me, and they'd be like, what does he want? Like, what the fuck? And like, people would not understand it. And like, I was like, babe, like, let me tell you something. I really liked you. Like, I was like vibing with you. Like, I fucked with you. Your energy, you know what I mean? And I'm real. You know what I'm saying? And like, so that's one of the reasons why I would hit her up, because I wanted her to let her know, like, hey, like, I want to keep in touch. Like, I fuck with you. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and she would always respond back, and we would talk, and it was just like really organic. So by the time we ended up dating, it was easy because we already knew each other, and it was just, we were hanging out more days at a time now. Before it was like 2 days here when I was in town or shit like that. But now we like are really kicking it. We're in Tokyo, spending New Year's, or like hanging out for 2 weeks, and you know, it was great. It kind of build really easy, and that's kind of one of the things that I loved about it, because I don't think, you know, I've connected with someone so easy before, and like in this way, and it wasn't until she made a few trips to LA where I was kind of like just seeing it, like the full picture. She's in my house, like I see it all, right? And then I just asked her, I was like, "Hey, would you ever think about moving to LA?" And she was like, "Yeah, I could do that." And I was like, "Shut the fuck up." I was like, "Are you serious?" And she was like, "Yeah, I would do that. Why not?" And I was like, "Oh, it's on now." As soon as she said that, I was like making plans to get the ring. I was doing all the things. Like I was like, yeah, I was like on it. I was on it.
Wait, how did you propose?
So we took a trip to Kyoto because
Okay.
she loves it there. I've never been. And she hadn't been there in a while. So I was like, oh, let's go to Kyoto. And I planned this thing where we went to go on this tour of temples. And one of the temples I had shut down where there was nobody there. And like,
oh my god, that's good. That's good. Yeah.
And like, it's funny because I've talked to her about this afterwards. Like, if she knew that I was gonna propose, or like, did she see things that were weird? And she was like, "Well, there was one thing. There were two things. First, your security follows us everywhere, and they stopped and they didn't follow us in, and I thought that was weird." And then she said, like,
you're like, fucking damn it.
And then she said that, like, because I had two like lanterns up with our names in English and in Japanese underneath, right? So one said Scott, one said Lola, right? And she was like, "What the fuck? like, why does he have our names up on the fucking? What is he doing?" Right? So she was like, kind of like, not. She did not know the proposal was coming, but she was kind of thrown off, like thinking it was weird that I had these things planned.
You're like, Lola, it's part of the plan, sweetie. Shut up for a second. Let me get there.
It was so funny, man, because the proposal went great and everything was magical. But I didn't like I had my photographer and my videographer fly out there to capture the footage. But they were like, didn't know when to come out. We didn't plan it. And like they fucking came out. They were taking pictures, but I was like behind a big bush.
Oh.
So all you see is like my knee bent down. You don't see the proposal at all. And like, so we came out and they came out afterwards like, "Hey," and then it was kind of cool because I felt like if they came out before I proposed, Lola would have been like, "Why are there cameras here? Why is like, Brett here?"
Brett, what the fuck are you doing here? Like, and then you're like, "Oh, you're proposing." Right. It almost worked out better.
So it worked out better. And then, so the pictures we have are just us kind of standing on, because we were in like this garden, this really beautiful garden, and in this temple. And so we got pictures just like hugging and stuff.
I'm obsessed that he took a picture and you can see your fucking kneecap. You're like, "Thanks, Brett. You're fucking fired."
Yeah,
dude.
I was like, "Oh man." I was like, "Come on, bro."
Okay, but your wedding photos,
they came out dope, right?
So fucking good.
So
fun. You were in a suit?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Lola, see,
yeah.
He's making a comeback.
Yeah,
he's
Lola, I've tried for the wedding. I was thinking about pajamas, but I did the suit. I didn't want to embarrass you.
Bare minimum, put on a suit for your fucking wedding. What was your favorite moment, if you had to say? I know there's probably so many.
My favorite moment was seeing her walking down. Like, that fucked me up. Like, I was crying before she even got to the little altar part. I was like, fuck, this is my wife. I was so geeked. I was like, man. And just seeing her walk, and she looks so beautiful. You know, it's the first time you see the dress, and like, you know, she kept saying like, "I hope you like it. I hope you like it." And like, Lola has amazing taste, man. So I was never worried. And the person who made her dress, Alan Paul, he's a genius, an amazing designer. So you know, I trusted them. I knew I was gonna love it, but seeing it was just it was beautiful. It was oh man, it was such a fucking moment, and we filmed everything. So I can't. We're waiting to see like the footage from because the dude is editing it up and shit. But uh, I can't wait to see just that moment again because my face, like I literally went like, I couldn't. I was like,
You're gonna ball when you watch it
oh,
again.
I already know.
Like you're gonna be so.
I'm prepared. I'm prepared. I was trying to keep it together, but then it was just like, man, oh shit, man. You know, it just happened. I was trying to hold back, but then because I know she was gonna cry, and I didn't want us to both be up there like hysterical. So
no, Scott,
yeah.
the worst would be if you're like stone cold face,
Stoic,
like, sup, come on down.
Hurry up.
Yeah, let's go.
Hurry up.
I mean, you see the fucking movies when everyone like turns to look at like what the guy's face is. And like, I literally said to my husband, I was like, if you don't fucking cry, then I don't want to marry you. What the fuck? And thank God he was sobbing too. Like, I would be a little scared if it was just like,
yeah, someone's like, just like,
fuck is that?
Hurry up.
Okay, wait, did you guys write your own vows?
Yeah. And we literally pinned the paper, wrote them down. And I told her to forgive me because my handwriting is just all over the place. But I was like really like being patient with every letter and like, you know, to make sure she could read it, you know. But yeah, it was great. It was great. And we saved them too. So we're going to frame them. And,
oh, it's amazing. How has Lola ultimately made you a better man?
Oh, man. I thought I was happy before, but she just put a little extra sauce on it. You know, I feel totally complete and at peace, you know, because before her, there was something missing. You know, it was always something missing. I was happy, right? We talked about that journey from rehab and whatever. So I was happy, but I always felt that something was missing. And I've always been like, it's always been my dream to like be married and have more kids and like build a little posse of children and like, you know, and to have someone that, you know, wants that and respects you and, you know, uplifts you in your darkest moments when you're not feeling confident about work or whatever it may be, like that's there for you and is a real best friend, you know?
It's beautiful because I was going to say, I feel like, you know, throughout your life, you've been on this pursuit of happiness, no pun intended. And you think you found it.
Oh yeah, definitely. Definitely.
We have to talk about your album, Free. Yeah. What is the inspiration behind it?
Man, I think it's really just kind of like bringing people into like, you know, where I am now, this place and time, the joy I feel, but also talking about, you know, reflecting on past struggles and how I overcame them, you know, and you get kind of both sides of the album with these first two singles. You get kind of the love song with Neverland, and you get this kind of like anthem to overcoming your shit in Grave, you know? And that's kind of like the two, it kind of bounces in between those two vibes on the album, yeah.
What is your wife's favorite song?
Brave. Yeah, it was her idea to drop it as a second single. I mean, this whole album is like, Lola was the main inspiration behind this album. You know what I mean? Like the first round of songs were all love songs. You know what I mean? Like different love songs to her.
I mean, I'm gonna just sob listening to this album the whole time. Like,
it's what? Definitely it's cute because it's like it's these true feelings that I have for this woman, like, and I'm singing them to her, you know. And even at the wedding, I performed Neverland and Grave, and I was singing it to her, and she was just watching me and just like so happy, and like it's great, man. Like I'm you know, having her throughout this whole process was great, you know. And she would come to the studio too.
You need to tell me
what
is your favorite song on the album, and it can't be the two that have been.
No. My favorite song on the album, I got two. Can I say two?
You can say two.
There's this song called Opiate that I really love. And then Saltwater, which is the final song on the album. And there's more, but I just want to say Opiate for sure because it's so fucking groovy and like, yeah, people are gonna love it.
I'm really excited.
Yeah. It's a lot of bops on there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
because it's pop, right?
Yeah.
Which is exciting for you, right? It's like a little different.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing that people will notice. It's like it is different. It's a whole new thing, but it still feels like Cudi. Yeah.
I'm so happy I got to know you today. You never know what you're like. I'm sure you didn't know what you were going to expect sitting down with me, right? You walked in, you literally looked at me, you're like, I don't know, I'm nervous. I was like, there's no reason. But like, how do you feel? Like, I think we had a great conversation. I thought that was lovely.
Yeah, it was fantastic. I feel great.
Again, like I said earlier, getting to know an artist, we know so much about you through your music, but to hear you talk more in depth about your life story and what's made you you and what's made you Scott. Kid Cudi is fucking awesome, but the layers that you've allowed us all to see, I think has only made me personally a bigger fan because I've been a fan for a while, but now knowing even more about you, I'm like, fuck, you've been through so much.
Yeah.
And I know everything you put into your music now, it's just that much more relatable. It has that much more soul and passion. And I'm really excited for you in this next chapter of your life because you're fucking crushing. And thank you for coming on Call Her Daddy. It was truly a pleasure.
Thank you so much for having me.
We did it.
And I got to come back.
Dude, and I didn't ask you any inappropriate sex questions. Did anyone prep you for that? You were fine.
I was a little nervous about that. I was a little nervous. I know you get a little saucy with it.
Done. Let's fucking leave. It's a bop.
Thanks.
Like, it's giving me old Demi vibes. Like,
yes. I love that you know old Demi vibes.
My God. Are you kidding me? Did you forget? Do you know how many times I've cried over that in my bedroom? Like,
I would, but
like in a good way, like therapeutic. And I'd be like, Demi's with me. Are you kidding me?
If we repeat some of this, just pretend like it didn't happen before, because this is all great.
Yeah, we need to stop. Are we ready,
excited.
guys?
Let's get started.
What is up, Daddy Gang? It is your founding father, Alex Cooper, with Call Her Daddy.
Demi Lovato, welcome to Call Her Daddy.
Thank you.
It is such an honor to have you here, and I want to say it's a big deal you're here for many reasons.
Oh my God, thank you.
Of course, but I've had sometimes people like come on if they're like a fan of the show, but you are the first person I have ever had on Call Her Daddy whose mom is a fan of Call Her Daddy. Shout out Demi's mom.
Yes. My mom loves this podcast. And she was like, you have to say hi. I was like, of course.
We are recording this just before your 30th birthday.
Yes.
Leo season. What does turning 30 mean to you?
Turning 30, what it means to me is like, to be honest, I've had a little anxiety. My 20s were like such a mess. Like I was trying to figure myself out. I didn't know who I was. A lot of shit happened. And then I kind of like over the past couple years have eased into who I am. And then this year I'm like, oh, I know who I am. So turning 30 to me has been like, I'm excited for my 30s and what that holds.
I love that. And I really want to normalize that because I feel like there's such pressure in society of like, when you hit 30, like figure it out. And it's like, what the fuck? No, 20s are meant to do all the fuck ups. And then 30s is when it's like, let me come into my own and really figure myself out.
Yes,
So
exactly.
I love that.
Thank you.
In our hectic, fast-paced lives, we could use some slowing down. Haagen-Dazs is made to be savored and enjoyed slowly. Introducing new Haagen-Dazs Belgian waffle cones, a completely new experience that's worth slowing down for. Daddy Gang, you've never had cones like this before, okay? They'll take crunch to a whole new level. Each crispy waffle cone is filled with the velvety smooth ice cream that Haagen-Dazs is known and loved for. Then it's finished with delicious toppings and a decadent bite of sauce waiting for you at the bottom of the cone, okay? Haagen-Dazs Belgian waffle cones come in 4 delicious flavors: vanilla salted caramel, summer berry, triple chocolate fudge, and toasted almond fudge. Boom. Sign me up. You guys know that I have the most hectic days at the office. So when I get home, I love to grab a little treat, toss my phone away, and take a minute to myself. These cones are a must-have in my freezer. I'm obsessed with the summer berry flavor. It's fruity and it's sweet. And seriously, it always hits the spot. It's the perfect way to end a long, stressful day. Ice cream just always hits the spot for me, and these Haagen-Dazs cones are truly the perfect treat. Savor your moment of slow with new Haagen-Dazs Belgian waffle cones available at retailers nationwide. You were one of the voices of our generation. I started listening to your music in middle school, crying up against the window. Did you forget?
Yes!
Like fully singing all my heartbreaks. I'm like curled up with Demi. I feel like I already know you. Like truly, it's been a roller coaster. I feel like I've literally known you for so long, and I still love your fucking music.
Oh, thank you.
Were you always a natural performer?
I think that performer, no, I wasn't always a natural performer. I had some like adjusting that I had to do over time. I started performing on tour with the Jonas Brothers when I was 15. And I went from my first show in June of like 2008. It had like 100 people, to July, my first show with the Jonas Brothers was 18,000 people. So I had to like learn how to perform on these massive stages. And it was super intimidating. I was so nervous, but like I figured it out and I found my groove. But I have always been a vocalist. Like, you know, singing has always come natural to me. My first time singing on stage was when I was like 5 and at my talent show in kindergarten.
What did you sing?
Celine Dion's My Heart Will Go On. Which is like one of the hardest songs to sing, but I was like, yeah, I'm gonna tackle that.
I was just about to say Demi. I'm like thinking like, ooh, like maybe like a pop song. She's like Celine Dion. Like what's that? I'm like, Demi, you just go right for the most iconic singer, hardest song to sing, like classic. Okay, so someone had a little confidence back then. There you go. I love that.
Yeah. And my mom, like, also, I was raised with like Aretha Franklin and vocalists like that. And then when I started learning vocalists that were in the era of when I was growing up, it was Christina Aguilera and Kelly Clarkson, and those were the singers that I gravitated to because they did things with their voices that I couldn't, and I wanted to learn how. So I made it my mission and was like, whoever is really, really talented, I want to do what they do. And so I just sang and sang and sang my little heart out until I could hit the same notes as them.
And then you eventually absolutely got there. So for someone watching this, kind of going back to your childhood a little bit.
Yeah.
To kind of paint the picture, you're growing up and your parents split when you were really young. Mm-hmm. Did your biological dad have any input when you began working as a kid?
No. So my biological dad, he was mentally ill and had a lot of addiction problems. And so he wasn't really in my life at all. I mean, I was the one that would reach out and call him, but like he was really sick mentally. And so over the years, I slowly stopped reaching out and calling him because he was so sick. It was hard to have conversations with him. He was schizophrenic and he had delusions. And so our conversations went from, how are you? I miss you, to I'm doing a movie with Steven Spielberg and Jodie Foster's my girlfriend. And I'm like, okay, we like can't talk anymore. And so I guarded myself from that relationship, and he didn't have a say, but he was proud. He was really proud. When I would talk to him, he was really proud.
And there was a lot to be proud for. Technically, your start in the business was you started in pageants, right?
Yes, I started in beauty pageants when I was 7. And my first like big win was Mini Miss Texas. Yeah, that was my introduction. And then from there, I got an acting coach and I started doing acting.
In your documentary, Simply Complicated, your mom, who was a former Dallas Cowboys cheerleader, she acknowledges her emphasis on being skinny and being perfect affected you.
Yeah.
How did your mom's opinion about herself affect your opinion about yourself?
Well, look, my mom had an eating disorder. And so naturally, someone that's in their eating disorder who isn't aware of it can pass on things to their child. And so I put a lot of pressure on myself and in the beauty pageants to look a certain way. I mean, I'm going to go on the record here and say like beauty pageants are awful for children's self-esteem, and like they teach you to ignore your emotions until you go to your hotel room, and that's when you can cry it out. And it was this toxic environment of like who's more beautiful and things like that, and at such a young age it confuses you. And so over the years I developed my own eating disorder, and that bled into my career as well.
When you're performing, you have to be okay. You got to go up there, you got to put a smile on your face, got to make everyone else feel great. But that's not how you felt on the inside. What do you remember depression feeling like as a 7-year-old?
As a 7-year-old, when my depression started to kick in, it was more of like this fascination of death. And for some reason, I had this like understanding that life was only going to get more difficult. And so I had suicidal ideations from age of 7. So much so that like my school called my parents, and they had me sign like this contract saying that I wouldn't do anything to myself. And so I entered therapy and guidance counseling at the school at 7 years old. And you know, it's something that I still deal with occasionally, and I just think it's a part of, it's just something that I've learned to accept and manage.
Yeah. When your parents got that call and you got into therapy, was there like regular check-ins? And because you were working also at the time at a young age, like was there a regimen of like checking in on Demi and making sure she was okay?
I was so young that I don't really remember. And I remember the person that actually saw the contract was my great grandmother, because I went to her house afterwards, and she was like, well, please don't do that. Like, are you okay? And so, yeah, there's probably check-ins, but I don't really remember them because I was so young.
What was your peer dynamic when you were in school?
My peer dynamic when I was in school was difficult. You know, I was thrown from being on Barney, where I homeschooled for like a year. Then I went back to school, and I'd actually learned more when I was homeschooling, to where like when I went back to school, I was like helping her show the class, like, this is what I've learned and blah, 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 blah. But when I went back to school, you know, there was a lot of drama. There was a lot of, it was the 6th grade, 7th grade drama. That's the worst. It's the absolute worst with preteen girls. They're just mean.
That age is when like I personally know like bullying started for me. Like that is the worst fucking age. That's when it all goes down. What were you bullied for?
So there was this whole incident where the main week that I was bullied, I had actually gotten the opportunity. I was already performing at like, you know, USO bases and like little car dealerships here and there that would have like festivals and whatever. I had the opportunity to open for JoJo, the singer. And this was when Get Out Leave was like on top of the charts. And as a preteen, we're all like, go JoJo, because she's our age, right?
Absolutely.
So anyways, I had the opportunity to open for her, and I invited one of the girls that was in my clique of friends, and I got the opportunity to go backstage and meet her after I opened for her, and the other girl didn't. and I used her camera. It was like this disposable camera. And when I got back to school, she gave me all the pictures from the show, but the one of me and JoJo was missing. And I was like, where did that one go? And she was like, oh, it just didn't develop. And I was like, bitch, like I know that it developed and you're just salty about it. Right. So that week turned into like hell for me. And all of a sudden there was drama around that, the picture not showing up, but then people took sides. And I remember it was like Mean Girls, like walking into the cafeteria where like the popular girls hated me. Anybody that wanted to be popular hated me. The popular guys hated me, and they have all the power in school. And at one point I was like hiding in a bathroom, and I called my mom and I was like, I need to get out of here. They signed a suicide petition. They passed it around and got people to sign it saying, if you, we want Demi to kill herself. And it was awful. And so, and they said some other mean stuff in there that like was just really hurtful. And so I ended up leaving and homeschooling, and it was a blessing in disguise because it gave me motivation to keep going. And it also gave me all this free time after I did my schoolwork to practice music for 3-4 hours a day. And I did that for years.
You were kind of getting bullied, I think, because you were having success, right? Like you were kind of starting to make it. People were jealous. At that age, they're super insecure. We all know how that goes. But do you think you then leaned into your craft because it was kind of like your escape from what you'd been going through?
I leaned into my craft, but I also leaned into my eating disorder, because the reasons that they gave me for bullying where they were like, you're a slut, you're a whore. Meanwhile, I'm 12 and I've only had my first kiss. And they were like, and you're fat. And they started calling the house saying they were from Jenny Craig and they wanted Demi. And so I was like, well, I guess that's their reason for me being hated so much. I guess it's because I'm fat. And I developed an eating disorder at 12. And it was really hard. But yes, at the same time, I used it as motivation. Like, I'm going to make my name so in your face that you can never escape me again. And it felt really good when that finally came true.
So you make it to Disney Channel.
Yes.
Which I was saying is basically winning an Oscar as a child. Like at
Totally.
that age, are you kidding? Let's watch a Disney Channel movie. I'm like, okay, like can you tell I've literally watched all of it?
I did too. I did too.
Everything. To paint the picture, like who was also acting on Disney around that same time as you?
It was the golden era of Disney. I mean, there was one golden era where it was like Raven and Hilary Duff, and then it like moved into this other golden era where it was like Hannah Montana had just started like a year or so before. High School Musical had just happened. Selena was on Wizards. And I auditioned for the Jonas Brothers TV show. And I was up for the role of their like female best friend or whatever. And I remember I didn't get it and I was crushed. I was heartbroken. But Disney was like, but we want to see you for these other 2 projects. And I was like, okay. Like I had taken the hardest no in my life. And I was just like, I don't know if I want to go audition again, but I will. Mm-hmm. So I did. I went and auditioned and I ended up booking them both. One was Sunny with a Chance and one was Camp Rock. So like that for me was like, I get my own movie and my own TV show. Are you kidding? Like on Disney Channel. And I knew my life was about to change.
Was there competition amongst the big actors on Disney?
Even though I'm a competitive person, I really like quieted that voice because I was like, it's not worth it. We all have our own talents. And that's why I'm not jealous of any artist today, is because like we all have our own lanes and someone has to fill my lane, you know?
As like a young girl watching those shows, I was always like, Demi seems like she would, like, I could be friends with her. Look at me,
thank you.
Like, eating my hair in my room, being like, I could be friends with Demi.
Eating my hair, literally. The most perfect hair, by the way. We've already had this conversation.
But it is funny because you really gave that vibe of like relatable and like someone that you could be friends with.
It was the bangs. The Camp Rock bangs. It was the bangs.
It was the bangs, and you brought the bangs back today. Okay. What pieces of your personal life did Disney have a say on once you started working with them?
Whew. So there were expectations on you to be a role model because all of a sudden you're thrust into that position, whether you want to be or not. Like, you're on shows that kids are watching. You can't be seen at a party with a red cup in your hand because it looks like it could be alcohol. And people online, like, there was this website called Ocean Up, and Ocean Up would just like take all scandalous things that were happening to Disney actors and put it on there. And so we lived in fear of that website. It wasn't really ever Disney saying, you can't do this, you can't do that. But if something happened, there would be conversations. And I will say that, like, that pressure of you're replaceable was always there, not necessarily ever said by Disney, but they didn't have to, because it was like, Disney is the hottest thing for teenagers to be on. And there are millions of kids that want to be in your place. And so you have to be on your best behavior, or else, you know, there's the next girl in line that could book the movie that you're supposed to be in. What people don't know is that the amount of work we had to do. Every year I filmed a season of a TV show, I went on tour, I made an album, and I shot a movie. And I did that for like 3 or 4 years. I think it was 3. But if I had a hiatus from my show, I would have the tour bus pull up to the studio and take me on tour for 1 week. Or I would fly to London to do promo. And I remember one day I woke up, I was so tired and like just drained from how much work I was doing as a 16-year-old. I woke up and I just started crying, and my mom was like, what's wrong? And I was like, I'm so tired. And then she started crying too. She was like, me too. And it was like this sad, kind of hilarious moment. And we were like, okay, put ourselves together. We got to do this. And so there was this extreme workload that I think put a lot of pressure on us. And that's why some of us I personally turned to, if you're going to work me like an adult, I'm going to party like an adult. And that at 16, 17 wasn't healthy at all.
When you had that moment with your mom, do you wonder if she ever thought to be like, hey, like, you don't have to, you know?
I think my parents were also under the, impression that someone will take your place if you don't commit to this stuff. And so I'd sit down with my management and my dad, and we'd go over the schedule. And the thing was I was also bipolar. And I was unmedicated. So there would be times where I'd have this like all this energy, and I'd look at my schedule and be like, I can do that. Plus, this is the cover of Cosmo. Like, I want to do that. It's cover of 17. Like, I want to do that. I didn't want to miss anything. I had like major FOMO if I did. So I just kept on pushing. But then by the time it would get there, I'd fall into like a depression, and it'd be really hard to work.
At that age, technically at 16, you are the thing that's making all the money for all the people around you. And if you stop, it all ends.
And also, at a certain point, I was paying for the roof over my whole family's head. And my dad had quit his job to become my manager. So his income was coming from me. My mom was a stay-at-home mom, wasn't reliant on, well, I mean, kind of was, but it was just that pressure of like, I'm paying for everything, and like, I need to keep going because if things start to disappear, so does the finances.
So you reference, if I'm going to be treated like an adult, I'm going to party like an adult.
Yes.
At what point in your Disney career did you begin experimenting with drugs?
So I started experimenting for the first time when I was 12. 13, I got into a car accident, and they prescribed me opiates. And my mom didn't think that she'd have to like lock up the opiates from her 13-year-old daughter, but like, I was already drinking at that point. I was, had been bullied, was looking for an escape. And when my mom saw how many of the pills had disappeared and how fast they did, she took them away, locked them up. But yeah, I drank a lot in my teenage years. And then it wasn't till I was about 17 that I started, well, that's not even true. Like, there were times where I'd get certain kinds of pills throughout like 15, 16. I'd steal my mom's Xanax. She had a Xanax addiction. And like, so it was off and on. And then at 17 is when it kind of was the first time like I tried Coke and like loved it too much. And then that kind of bled into me going to treatment like right after I turned 18.
When you were drinking, were you drinking alone or were you going out places?
My first time drinking, I was alone. And that was like, should have been a major red flag. I like stole beer from my dad in the fridge, my stepdad, and like took it to my room and drank like 4 beers just to see what it was like to feel drunk. And like, I was like a little 90-pound, girl. So that was a lot. And then it started being with like friends, and it wasn't ever alone after that, but that was my first time.
Call Her Daddy is brought to you by ZipRecruiter. Did you know that 3 in 5 women feel pressured to accept the first job offer they get? Daddy Gang, as a qualified candidate, you have way more power than you think. Before you say yes, please make sure it's in line with what you want. Will there be work-life balance, career growth? Are you being paid what you're worth? You deserve an amazing job where you are valued, and that is why you need to use ZipRecruiter. If you're ready to find that next role that meets your needs, go to ZipRecruiter.com/CHD to get started. ZipRecruiter matches you with relevant jobs in minutes, and you can apply to most of them with just one click. Hate waiting? Most applications on ZipRecruiter are viewed right away within 48 hours based on their recent data. I love that the majority of jobs on ZipRecruiter include salary and benefits info. That is so important when considering what job you'll choose to take. You deserve to be in a role where you're happy, fairly paid, and genuinely excited to grow. So use ZipRecruiter and find a job that's a hell yes. Go to this exclusive web address, ZipRecruiter.com/CHD right now to start finding jobs you love. Again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/CHD. When you're kind of at this age where you start to kind of experiment, you're drinking and everything, did not only your parents, but like management and publicists and did people know you were drinking and doing drugs?
When it came to management's attention that I had been doing pills, they definitely were like, this can't happen, and like, what's going on, and do we need to get you help? And I was really good at convincing people like, no, it was just like, I had a hard time sleeping and blah, 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 or I'd make up excuses. And finally, when it got to a point where it was clear that I needed help and I needed to go away, everyone was really supportive of it because it had been like kind of a long time coming.
So thinking about the whole Disney era, there was a major wave of purity ring wearing. Okay. I can't say it with a straight face, okay?
Yes.
Debbie's like, holy fuck. Oh, no pun intended.
Yes.
No pun intended. Yes. There was a huge wave of purity ring wearing amongst Disney stars.
Oh, yeah.
What the fuck was that about?
So I think it was just my purity. I had a purity ring that came from my church, like way before Disney Channel even happened. I was like 11 or 12. And like, obviously that shouldn't have even been implemented on 11 or 12-year-olds. But I was like, okay, like I'll do this, whatever. That quickly went out the window at a certain point. And then I left the others to have their purity adventures on their own. But I mean, to each their own. I don't know. It was an interesting thing to come out publicly and say.
It really was, because I remember being that age and like I should have been apparently wearing one because I was like Catholic at the time. God, I'm getting like burned. But I'm like, why are people wearing these things? And it was such an interesting, it almost at the time when I look back on it really felt like the Disney kids like were getting older, and it felt like a way to like really cement like, no, we're really good kids and we don't do anything bad. And it's like, look at my finger, like, oh, they wear a purity ring.
Right. I don't know. Like I had one and I think I talked about it like once, but like, and it caught a little bit of fire, but definitely not as much as the other people wearing them. And I quickly hushed about that when I started having sex, because I was like
I lost it. I don't know where it went.
It broke. I think it actually literally broke because it was so cheap. And then I was like, well, that's my sign. Here we go.
Have you ever sat down and discussed the challenges of being inside this Disney machine with people like Selena Gomez, Miley Cyrus, the Jonas Brothers?
I think over the years, like, we talked about it for sure, but I do have a project in the works where I want to talk to some of those people about their experiences and other child stars as well.
Kind of like we were talking about earlier, there were all these systems in place in your life. Everyone, they're taking care of your career with you. And then well into adulthood, your personal life was also being controlled by people that were managing your career. Mm-hmm. Demi, in what ways was your team controlling your life?
There was someone that came into the picture, and when they came into the picture, everything in my life was controlled. I started having a sober companion, which was helpful for me, but it should not have lasted 3 years. And then it became controlling around my food. And for someone in recovery from an eating disorder, that's so dangerous. It actually exacerbated my eating disorder to the point where I became bulimic again. From 2016 to 2018, I was dealing with that. And we're talking like, I've never talked about this before, but there was one time where I had binged and purged one night, and I came clean to my team and said, hey, this happened. I snuck out of my hotel room because they didn't let me have phones in my hotel rooms because they didn't want me to call room service. I didn't have food in my hotel room, like snacks in the mini bar, because they didn't want me to eat the snacks. Ellen talked about this on her show where they cleared the dressing room of like all sugar before I would get in there. She was like, I remember that. And they, after I told them what had happened, my security guard walked by my room or was made aware that they like barricaded me into my hotel room. They put furniture outside of my door so that I couldn't get out and sneak out and eat if I wanted to. And so it was that level of controlling when it came to my food, which just made my eating disorder worse. One time I said, I'm throwing up blood. I need to go to treatment. I need to get help. And this was in like 2017. And this person looked at me and said, you're not sick enough. And I think that was his way of saying like, no, you're not going back to treatment because if you do, this will look bad on me. And so I didn't go back into treatment. And I, less than a year later, I ended up overdosing. And so I think it was just like, I felt trapped. I felt like I couldn't get out of this situation. And my way of like blowing everything up was relapsing on drugs and alcohol. Because they always said, if you use, we're out. And I was like, all right, time to get out. Bye. I've learned a lot from that experience. Like, no one can control me anymore. And I was under the control from 18 to 25. And those are years where you're trying to figure out your adulthood. You're no longer a teenager, but for some reason I had people controlling everything I ate. My business decisions were always being made for me. And now I've found my voice. No one can ever do that to me again. And I feel empowered by what I went through because I had to grow and I had to learn to accept that I'm my own boss.
Just to clarify, when you're referencing this person is basically trying to keep you from eating, it's for the image to make sure you look thin.
Yeah.
Which helps their career
yeah.
and their income. Can you talk a little bit about mentally why it's so hard to push away from people that get their claws in you in that position?
Yeah, absolutely. I would even go so far as to say like there was a brainwashing element to it where you were totally under the impression that if I don't listen to this person who knows so much about recovery, I'm going to lose everything. And so you put all of your trust and your faith into one person. And then from that, everyone around me listens to that one person and they go with it. If this person says this is what it is and this is how it should be, then we listened to them. And then it became, it got to the point where like if they didn't like a chef that I had, they would sit me down and say like, we don't like the chef that you have. We think that you should try someone else. And so I would say, okay. Like I just put all of my trust and faith into, into people around me that I think didn't have my best interest at heart. The reason why they didn't like that chef that I had was because the chef told me, they said they read your bank statements to see what you order at Starbucks to make sure you're not getting like cookies or pastries or things like that. And when I found that out, I told them, and then they were like, we don't like your chef. And I was like, oh, you realize that she's the one that told me.
Hearing you talk about this, it does sound not like a version of what Britney Spears went through.
Right.
Like the controlling and the micromanaging to the point where you don't even have control over your own life.
Right.
I can't imagine how alone you felt when you said like they had said if I used then they were gone, and then I used, and in a way it was almost like your cry for help of like get the fuck away from me. A lot of people don't understand this side of the world, and I think that's why I love having you on right now, because we get headlines, E-News says something about, and it's like we don't understand what you as a human being are going through, and people are so ruthless to quickly make a judgment of like, oh well, she's got all the money in the world, so her well, and it's like, listen to what you're saying right now, like this is a nightmare. Right.
And I couldn't talk about it. I felt trapped. And I don't know how many people have gone through that situation, but it is really sad.
In a Bustle article, you asked the question, what do I want my relationship with my manager to look like without enmeshing my own father issues onto him? What did you mean by that? How were your father issues affecting your relationship with your manager?
I had such interesting relationships with my dads, and the abandonment issue from my birth father was so deeply rooted inside of me that when it came to management, like I placed that fatherly figure role onto him and onto this other person that I have mentioned. And so when looking for a new manager, I wanted to find someone that I don't place that fatherly figure role onto, and that it's just business.
In your documentary, Dancing with the Devil,
yes,
you reveal your virginity was taken from you.
Yeah.
You were raped.
Mm-hmm.
Is it possible to heal from an experience like that?
I think in a way time can heal wounds, maybe not all of them. The more time that has gone by, the easier it has gotten. But there's still a sadness, a deep sadness inside of me that someone took that from me at such a young age. And it was hard because this person was also around, like they were also on Disney. And so seeing them around was difficult, and it really messed up my my teenage years. And finally I went and got help for that, and it's been something that I've worked on. But I've had other traumas happen, and it kind of pushes those to the side a little bit. But there are moments where I definitely will cry and just feel the sadness inside of me, because that's healthy to do rather than bottle it up. I just will allow myself to have those moments of like, that was really sad what happened to you, and you're a fighter. Like, you can get through it.
I mean, I can't imagine at that young of an age having to still have someone be on Disney and having to see someone that did that to you. I mean, you are a survivor.
Thank you. And to be clear, it wasn't anyone in the immediate Disney circle, I've had people ask, questions of was it this person or was it that person? And it was I don't think it'd be anybody that anyone would guess, but they were friends with someone on set, and they'd come around and yeah.
So many people, especially young women, listen to my podcast that have been sexually assaulted. Yeah. And it's a really it's complicated if you've never been through it. How do you give someone advice on that, right? And so where have you generated the strength to keep going through trauma?
I think that I've just had a lot of trauma in my life, and there's a persistence, a determination inside of me. And I think I learned that from like the bullying experience of like, you can turn this around and make it into something great. And I'm not saying that I've turned sexual assault into anything great, but you know, I've written about it in music. I've healed from it, and it's just made me stronger.
You are so fucking strong, and it is written all over your new album.
Thank you.
I was listening to it in my car. I feel like that's also the best place to listen to new music when you're like,
it's the best.
The best.
Yeah.
The best. You're like by yourself, you're listening, and you're just like, so first of all, I just want to say I'm a huge fan of your new album.
Thank you.
Holy fuck. Holy fuck is the album. And also, holy fuck, it's so fucking good.
Thank you.
Demi, I need to know, how does this album reflect where you are in your life right now?
Whew, this album, it reflects this album. Like, actually, there's a journey to it. So like in the beginning of the album, you can hear my anger. You can hear like, I left treatment in December this last year, getting help again, and I'm sober again, and I feel great. But like, there was all these emotions that I left treatment with, and I wanted to convey them in my music. And so the first few songs are like really angry, and it's like, this is who I am, take it or leave it. I know what you're saying about me online. Like, Demi leaves rehab again. Like, I see you, I hear you. And then as I started to heal, I was like, you know what, I'm actually like getting happier. And I was owning my sexuality in a lot of the songs. And then my album became like, so it was like angry, then like sex, and then like love songs.
Your songs are incredibly personal, and you always give insight into your life, and I feel like that's why your fans are obsessed with you. It's because you're like, you put it all out there, and that's why we love Demi Lovato. It's like we and I appreciate that, because you know, sometimes we don't get a lot from people, and you're like, this is me. This is me. This is me. But oh my God, everyone's like, stop, Alex. But I appreciate that. And in the tone of one of the songs, like, you are fucking fighting, and you're like, I have something to say, and I'm going to address it as I always address my journey.
Yes.
And I always talk about what the fuck I'm going through. And so why would this be any fucking different on this album? The song 29.
Yes.
What inspired you to write this song?
I went to treatment after turning 29. I did a lot of work on myself. And I had this realization when I turned 29 that I came out of treatment with anger. I came out of treatment with understanding and growth. And so it was like a reflective song for me. And even though there's undertones of anger, it was like I really learned a lot about that experience, and I decided to write about it.
To anyone that hasn't listened to the song, you need to go listen to it. Just a couple of the lines to give them a Too young to drink wine, just 5 years a bleeder, student and a teacher, far from innocent, what the fuck is consent? Numbers told you not to, but that didn't stop you. Now I'm finally 29. Funny, just like you were at the time. What do you hope people take away from these lyrics?
If you're a young girl and you think that it's sexy or fun to date older men, it's not okay unless you're of age. It's portrayed as like, oh, you scored someone older, that's cool. And it's like, actually, that's weird. So it's just like a reflective moment of like, if you are in that situation, just listen to this song and like kind of think about it.
How did you decide to release it as a single?
Well, it was hard. It was really hard for me to release this as a single because it's so emotional for me and so personal. But I think sometimes the public needs the truth. And that's why I decided to release it as a single, because I think the message is so important.
Call Her Daddy is brought to you by Hidden Valley Ranch. Hidden Valley Ranch now comes in a new Easy Squeeze bottle. The same ranch you love, just in a new, easier to use bottle. New bottle, same great flavor. Hidden Valley Ranch is the original ranch, the brand that created ranch in 1954. Recently, Hidden Valley Ranch changed its packaging, moving from the iconic paddle bottle to a new easy squeeze bottle. Okay, the new bottle offers a lot of benefits, including making it easier to just get the right amount of ranch out without making a mess and helping you get out every drop. Hidden Valley Ranch is America's #1 ranch. Visit walmart.com/Hidden Valley to find Hidden Valley Ranch in the easy squeeze bottle. Hidden Valley Ranch, only serious about flavor. I love you, Hidden Valley Ranch. Thank you for that. What is your favorite song on the album to have sex to? Saying favorite.
First of all, I don't have sex to my own music.
Demi, come on. I'll have sex to your music.
Go for it. Go for it. I would feel weird about it.
If you had to.
If I had to.
Or to people listening, which song should they fuck to?
Well, it depends. If you're trying to be like
sensual,
yeah. Listen to Come Together.
Mm-hmm.
If you're trying to
bang it out.
You know what? If you're trying to bang it out, listen to Bones. Bones is it's like I want to jump your bones. That's the hook.
We are not in Disneyland anymore, guys.
No,
Disney Channel is dead. Yes. Demi fucking Lovato, you are fucking back with a vengeance. I'm obsessed. Speaking of sex, Demi, you gotta give us a little tea. Are you dating anyone?
I'm dating somebody.
Look at that grin. Okay, we don't need too many deets, but how's it going? What's the vibe?
It's going really well.
It's going well.
Yeah. Can I say that?
It's your life,
okay. It's my life. It's
no
my
more
life.
looking at your team.
Yeah.
It's your fucking life.
It's my life. Yeah. It's going really well. Yeah.
Okay, when you're dating someone, what is the most important thing you look for in a partner?
I have to laugh. I've dated people that were beautiful or, sexy. And it's I still am that. The person I'm dating is so hot and so sexy and I am obsessed. But the most important thing is eventually over time, we grow old and looks fade and things like that. You have to find someone that completely understands you, but most importantly to me, makes me laugh.
I'm so happy for you because I can tell it's fresh and it's great because you are fully blushing. You're stop! No! Demi, knew you. We don't fucking ask for permission. What do you want to say?
That's
what do you
true.
want to say?
That's true.
We're not saying names here unless you want to say his name. Okay, you're going to go on tour, right?
Yes. So excited.
Is it hard to date while you're on tour?
I found that it's actually kind of easy if you make sure that you see each other once every 2-3 weeks.
Okay, fun.
It's important to and it's also FaceTime. FaceTime is really helpful. And I'm sure it's I think what's going to suck is being away from the person that you're dating, but ultimately it kind of builds anticipation too for when you do see them, and it's so exciting,
so exciting. And I think it's also the test of if you can make it through that.
Yes.
That's a great strength building core exercise. What the fuck am I saying? Okay, when you go on tour, what are you looking most forward to when you're going on this upcoming tour?
Rocking out, because I did the pop music and kind of R&B pop, which was fun, but also at the same time I felt like it wasn't me. I was trying too hard to be sexy, and I was in the little leotards and the stiletto heels, and I wasn't comfortable. And so I want to be comfortable on the stage, and I will be, and I can just completely be myself, which is going to be so exciting.
Will we be seeing a little old Demi music vibe also on tour?
Old music, yes. You will definitely be, because it matches the sound. And I've also, which is the most exciting, I've also turned my hits into the style of music that I'm doing today. So Cool for the Summer sounds totally different. Heart Attack sounds totally different. Confident sounds totally different. And it's It's so exciting. Sorry, not sorry. Like all of those songs sound totally different. And I'm like so excited for everyone to hear it. You know, I started out with really great instincts on how to be myself. And I strayed away from it because I wanted hits. I wanted what people wanted to hear. And so I lost myself for a long period of time when it came to me musically. And I've never had an experience in the studio like I've had making this album, where it's just so fulfilling, so myself. And it's just so fun to sing, and I can't wait to perform it.
Demi Lovato, thank you so much for coming on Call Her Daddy. It was
Thank
an honor.
you.
Oh,
thank you so much.
Thank you.
What is up, Daddy Gang? It is your founding father, Alex Cooper, with Call Her Daddy.
Gwyneth Paltrow, welcome to Call Her Daddy.
Thank you very much.
I am so happy you're here. How is it feeling? How are the vibes?
The vibes are A triple plus. I mean, it's gorgeous. The marble table,
Thank you.
the colors, it's very soothing.
Thank you. Because I know you're very into like home design yourself.
Yes.
How would you describe your style?
I think I always like a traditional frame. So, you know, like walls, fixtures, floors. I like it to feel like there's some history and some provenance with it. I think I always gravitate towards a house where like the bones are more
Traditional. That's like, I always want cozy vibes. I actually designed this. The pink color in this room is the exact color that I have in my closet. And so I wanted it to feel like we were kind of at my house, but I wanted to bring a little bit of me to the studio, which is very fun.
This wall color is very similar to our Goop office wall color.
Right?
Yes.
Because you don't want like a hot pink. Like I needed to get away
No.
from the hot pink. I was like, I feel like I'm a little hot topic-y. I'm a little in college still. I'm like, I have elevated a little bit, ladies. Give me some credit.
Major
But
credit.
need to have it like classy but still fun. Let's talk about you though.
Oh boy.
So I love how Apple is here, your daughter, and you guys walk in and Apple is like, roaster, go for it. And I was like, Gwyneth Paltrow's coming on the show, guys. Like, let's keep it classy. And then Apple was like, oh, ask her everything. I'm like, oh, thank you, Apple, for letting me go in. In our hectic, fast-paced lives, we could use some slowing down. Haagen-Dazs is made to be savored and enjoyed slowly. Introducing new Haagen-Dazs Belgian waffle cones, a completely new experience that's worth slowing down for. Daddy Gang, you've never had cones like this before, okay? They'll take crunch to a whole new level. Each crispy waffle cone is filled with the velvety smooth ice cream that Haagen-Dazs is known and loved for. Then it's finished with delicious toppings and a decadent bite of sauce waiting for you at the bottom of the cone, okay? Haagen-Dazs Belgian waffle cones come in 4 delicious flavors: vanilla salted caramel, summer berry, triple chocolate fudge, and toasted almond fudge. Boom. Sign me up. You guys know that I have the most hectic days at the office. So when I get home, I love to grab a little treat, toss my phone away, and take a minute to myself. These cones are a must-have in my freezer. I'm obsessed with the summer berry flavor. It's fruity and it's sweet. And seriously, it always hits the spot. It's the perfect way to end a long, 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 stressful day. Ice cream just always hits the spot for me. And these Haagen-Dazs cones are truly the perfect treat. Savor your moment of slow with new Haagen-Dazs Belgian waffle cones available at retailers nationwide. So you're an entrepreneur, you're a mother, and you're an actress. You won an Academy Award at 26 years old. How did winning an Oscar at such a young age impact the way that you viewed and felt about your career?
Well, I guess I should start by saying, like, I was so driven. Like, I was working so hard and I didn't know exactly what I was working towards. I just wanted to be successful and to be well regarded. And I, was kind of on this really fast track, and it all kind of happened so quickly, which is what I think you're alluding to. And then for somebody like me who, I think I was working through a lot of the harder parts of my growing up through achieving success. And once I won the Oscar, it put me into a little bit of an identity crisis, because if you win the biggest prize, like, what are you supposed to do and where are you supposed to go? It was hard, like the amount of attention that you receive on a night like that in the weeks following is so disorienting and frankly really unhealthy. I was like, this is crazy. Like, I don't know what to do. I don't know which way is up. And so I think it was a lot. And then I also, not that I would give it back or anything, like it was an amazing experience, but it kind of called a lot of things into question for me. And then I think because I hadn't done a lot of healing work yet, I was like, well, now I need to, what am I going to do? How am I going to continue to achieve?
Do you mind sharing, like, when you're referencing, like, you were working towards solving the things in your past?
Yeah.
Do you mind sharing what you're talking about?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I think, we all go through traumatic things in our childhood. And, I think our parents, especially my parents' generation, they had a very different orientation around parenting. It's like, Apple and her brother are like, I kind of revolve around them, and hopefully not to their detriment. But I think I grew up in a generation where there wasn't that orientation. And I think, we moved a lot, to move with my mom when she was working, which also of course had great things. But it was, it could feel destabilizing. And I think there were also like really high standards prescribed to me in my house. I don't even know if my parents were conscious they were doing it, but I always felt like I had to prove on some level that I was worth something, that I was lovable. And not only from my parents, but I think just from the culture that I was growing up in.
No, I get what you're saying. And I think that's something I've been realizing in therapy is like, of course, we can look at how our parents fucked us up. Like, I don't think there's anyone on the planet that's like, my parents were absolutely perfect. Like, but I do think generationally, it's also important to look at, not to give them a free pass, but like, they don't have the tools that we now have of like, therapy wasn't even a conversation. Mental health wasn't even a conversation. Right. So even you saying like, I don't even think they were aware of the pressure they were putting on me. It does make sense now, especially if you are in therapy or working on yourself. Like, the past generations, to me, it's very apparent as to like what they were lacking and how fortunate we are now to have conversations with like you having with your children. When you talk about having this like almost like crisis of like, you win this Oscar, everyone's looking at you, you're this beautiful young woman, how do you think that impacted like your self-worth at the time?
I felt a real pivot on that night, because I felt like up until that moment, everybody was kind of rooting for me in a way. And then when I won, it was like too much, and I could feel a real turn. And I remember I was working in England a lot at the time. For some reason, I was doing all my movies in the UK. And I remember the British press being so horrible to me because I cried, and they didn't necessarily know that, my grandfather was dying of cancer. My dad, who was in the audience with me, was like, had just had all this crazy cancer treatment, and he was really debilitated. And it was just this totally overwhelming moment. And, I was 26, like I cried, and people were so mean about it. And I just thought like, wow, there's this big energy shift that's happening. And I think I'm going to have to learn to be less open-hearted and much more protective of myself and filter people out better. It was like this big reckoning in a way.
When I think back to the 90s, I think it's so funny that so many trends are coming back. Like, Apple just walked in and just like, Mom, look, I'm wearing your shirt from the night. It's like everything is making comebacks. But the one thing that I feel like never went out of style, and I have to say it, is Brad Pitt. I have to say it. Okay?
I agree.
How did you meet Brad Pitt? Because you guys were like the hottest couple, okay? How did you meet Brad?
I met Brad on the set of Seven, and I think I was only 22 years old at the time.
Oh my God.
And I had seen him in Thelma and Louise and like whatever the other movies he had been in. So obviously everyone knew he was like the most gorgeous movie star in America. And I got this little part in Seven, and I was so excited to meet him and Morgan Freeman, who I had like grown up adoring as an actor. And we sort of said hi on set, and it was like major love at first sight. It was crazy.
I just got chills. The fact that you get to be like, I had love at first sight with Brad Pitt and it was mutual. Okay, Gwyneth, no big fucking deal. So you eventually got engaged.
Yes.
To Brad. How did he propose, and how did you initially feel about him proposing?
Well, we went out for, we had been going out for like, I felt like a long time, and I was like ready to get married, and I was like ready. And we were in Argentina. He was filming a movie down there, and I had gone down there for most of it and was like making dinner and, you know, hanging out with him. And one night we were kind of on the balcony of this house we were renting in this little town in Argentina. And I wish I remembered exactly what he said, but he proposed. It was fantastic. I was thrilled.
Were you surprised, or did you know this was coming? Did you guys talk about it?
We had talked about it, but I was surprised in the moment. I remember that.
And how old were you at this point?
I must have been 24.
Oh my gosh. So I know I've read that you ended the engagement with Brad because you were like, I was too young. I was not ready to get married. And I feel like when you are in love, I don't care what age, sometimes you can be so in it that you don't see big picture. How did you realize that you were not ready to get married?
Well, I had a lot of development left to do looking back in hindsight. Like, you know, in a lot of ways, I didn't really fully start to come into myself until I was like 40 years old. And I had such a pleasing issue. Like I didn't even really understand how to listen to my instincts and act from that place, like for what was right for me. I was always trying to adjudicate like what's right for everybody else, you know, being the sort of thermostat in the room, like, oh, you know, it's getting a little uncomfortable, like let me cool it down, like it's getting cold, let me warm things up, and always sort of outsourcing that and not really giving myself like the dignity of being close to myself, you know? And so when I look back, you know, I think I was really a kid, like really more so than a lot of 22 or 23 or 24-year-olds I would meet now. You know, I really had not explored who I was, what was important to me, what my boundaries were, anything like that. And so I was totally heartbroken when we broke up. But it was just, you know, the right thing at that time. But it was really hard.
When you say you broke up, like, is that how you explained it to him? Like, I'm too young, like I can't do this?
No, it was like there were sort of a number of things that had happened. And also he was 9 years older than I am. I guess he's still 9 years older than me. And so he was like far more, he knew what he wanted. He was like ready to do it. And I was kind of all over the place. And so it was really like one of those difficult things where I felt like, oh my God, I'm not only am I not ready, but I'm not like living up to the standards again. You know, it was like a familiar refrain that I felt about myself.
When you think back to that time period, like what questions do you think people should be asking themselves if they're wondering like, am I ready to get married? Because like I know there's a lot of young women listening that it's like, oh, maybe I am. Like, how will I know? Like, do you have any advice?
I think that as women, we know on such a deep level what is right for us. And so it's really just a matter of how many layers we've put on top of that. And I do think we're socialized as women in this country to not do that. Like we don't tune in and really listen to ourselves. And so I would say the best thing is like to work on your friendship with yourself. The closer you are to yourself, then the more decisions you will make from that place, and that will be the right decision.
Anytime I have a deep conversation with my friend, whether it was like she stayed in a relationship too long or I was in a toxic relationship, you always kind of know.
You know.
And like, I really feel like a woman's intuition is never wrong. Like when you're feeling something's off, a lot of the times we're just not acting on ending something or doing something for ourselves because there's a layer, like you said, of something prohibiting us from making that decision, whether it's like the societal issues of like we're living in this patriarchal society and you're like, I want to please the man, and it's been so ingrained, like whatever it is, usually it's actually, you know, the truth. You just have to be in tune with yourself. That takes a lot of time though.
Yes. And one layer of complexity I would add is that, you know, when I look back, and I think this is pretty pervasive, like most of us are sort of replaying relationship, that dynamic out in our romantic life that we had with our most difficult parental relationship. Like Kerry Washington said to me the other day, there's only one letter difference between parent and partner. And which I thought was, you know, a very succinct way of articulating it, because you know, that's something that I did for sure in my romantic relationships. And some people don't do that, and you know, they're attaching in really healthy ways, but you know, those are things to keep in the back of your mind too. Like, am I trying to work something out with this person that's really my own work? Right. Because a lot of times that means you shouldn't be with that person. Yep. You should go do your work and then find somebody that's going to really uplift you.
Because most of the time when you're in a situation with someone that you're trying to play out, like your issues with your dad or your issues with your mom, you're right. Then when you actually go do the work, you wouldn't go back to that partner. You're like, wait, no, that actually doesn't work for me at all.
That's right.
I'm interested to also know about Brad, and then we're moving on. But like, actually, let's do the whole episode about Brad. Since you're in this Hollywood sphere of like, it's a pretty close-knit group, how did you guys like move on? And like, I'm sure you saw each other at parties and like had to socialize in moments. Like, was it awkward for you? And like, do you guys... it's not awkward now, obviously, but like, how did you go about running into each other?
Yeah, right. They always say like Hollywood is like high school with money. It's like kind of true, which is probably why I didn't live here for so long. I remember seeing him. This is so crazy. Like, because I was like heartbroken and so upset, you know, and then I remember the first time I saw him, I was presenting at the Academy Awards the year after I won, and I like walked out, and I was so cognizant of him being there, and I was like, oh my God, this is so scary and so awkward.
Because he's probably like in almost front row.
Yeah, he was like right there, and we hadn't talked in like a couple years.
You're like, I would be like, I'm basically giving a speech to my ex.
I know.
Like,
and I was like, I think I even fumbled my words. I was like,
I hope that's on YouTube so I can go watch that after this. All of a sudden it's gonna like spike up to like 10 million views.
It was like the year after I won. Yeah.
Oh my God.
It was crazy. I know. He's a great guy.
He's great.
He's wonderful. I really like him a lot.
Yeah, casual. Okay, another relationship you had was with Ben Affleck, which is like, I'm sitting here being like, you have the most stacked roster of any person that has ever come on Call Her Daddy, Gwyneth. I'm not kidding. I'm like, no one has sat in a chair and I'm like, Brad Pitt, Ben Affleck. I'm like, what? Tell us your tips. My actual question was this. Do you think that all of your exes have bought your vagina candle? They want to really relive the good times.
That's what it's there for.
Can you imagine someone like going into Brad Pitt's house and like, is that Gwyneth's vagina candle? What the fuck? Okay, we're gonna play a game.
Okay.
Brad or Ben? It'll be fun. Okay.
Brad.
No. I didn't even ask a question.
Oh, I thought that was the question. Brad or Ben? Okay.
That's so good.
Now I get it.
Okay, this is good. Okay, now overall it's Brad. Now. Okay. Call Her Daddy is brought to you by Hidden Valley Ranch. Hidden Valley Ranch now comes in a new easy squeeze bottle. The same ranch you love, just in a new, easier to use bottle. New bottle, same great flavor. Hidden Valley Ranch is the original ranch, the brand that created ranch in 1954. Recently, Hidden Valley Ranch changed its packaging, moving from the iconic paddle bottle to a new easy squeeze bottle. Okay, the new bottle offers a lot of benefits, including making it easier to just get the right amount of ranch out without making a mess and helping you get out every drop. Hidden Valley Ranch is America's #1 ranch. Visit walmart.com/Hidden Valley to find Hidden Valley Ranch in the easy squeeze bottle. Hidden Valley Ranch, only serious about flavor. I love you, Hidden Valley Ranch. Thank you for that. I can't believe I finally get to say this. Call Her Daddy is brought to you by Stouffer's. You don't even understand. Daddy gang, let me set the scene for you, okay? It is 6 o'clock. You get home after a long, stressful day of work and you feel like you can't make one more decision, right? You're burnt out, you're tired, but you realize you're starving. It is dinner time, but even just thinking about what to make feels so overwhelming, okay? The fridge is empty, obviously. The idea of cooking sounds miserable and all you want is something easy, delicious, and satisfying. That is where Stouffer's comes in hot, literally. When the clock strikes dinner, think Stouffer's, because that is literally what I did my entire childhood, okay? Dinner dread is real, and as someone who hates to cook, figure out what to make or even just to order. I don't need that stress in my life. I really don't. I cannot tell you how many times I've been so grateful to come home. I open the freezer, boom, Stouffer's, boom, which one do I want, okay? Whether it's a slow night or a night in with Matt, Stouffer's has been my favorite tasty meal since day one. Shout out to my mother. She and I would eat the mac and cheese. That was like a weekly staple. Their lasagna is actually incredible. Oh my God, the Swedish meatballs, my favorite. Oh my God, the turkey and mashed potatoes with gravy. Oh my God, the turkey tetrazzini, you guys. Stouffer's delivers big on flavor with great ingredients in every single frozen meal. For nearly 100 years, it has been the dependable choice for bringing friends and family together so we all can spend less time cooking and more time enjoying the moment. So skip the chaos, cancel the internal dinner debate, and solve dinner dread with Stouffer's. Shop now at your nearest retailer today. Stouffer's, I love you. Okay. Who had better style?
Oh my gosh. I'm going back in time now, trying to assess wardrobes. Probably Brad.
Okay. Who was more romantic?
Brad.
Like Brad. Who was more likely to make you laugh?
Ben.
Who were you more likely to get into an argument with?
Ben.
Who was more high maintenance?
Gosh, that's a really good question. I'm not sure I would characterize either of them as high maintenance. They were both pretty
chill.
Yeah.
Okay. Who cared more about their appearance?
Ooh. I'm not sure. I feel like neither of them were very vain like that. I'm not attracted to guys who are looking in the mirror the whole time.
Yeah, you need a little scruff.
You need a little scruff. Although Ben did have a mirror face that he would throw at the mirror.
You have to do it for us.
I can't really remember, but it was sort of he had a funny mirror face. I think he was joking though.
Okay. Who was a better kisser?
Oh my God, let me think. Gosh, I have to remember so far back. They were both good kissers.
Okay. Who was better in bed?
That's really hard. That is really hard because Brad was the sort of major chemistry love of your life kind of at the time, you know? And then Ben was technically excellent.
Holy fuck.
I can't believe my daughter's listening to this.
Technically
Yeah.
excellent.
Yeah.
Holy fuck. God bless J-Lo and everything she's getting over there. Oh my God, that's amazing. Okay, last question.
Okay.
This is really going to cause some issues.
Am I blushing?
I am.
Oh my gosh.
Who is the better actor?
Oh, wow. I mean, they're both so talented. I feel like, and Ben is a great writer and director, but I guess I would probably have to say acting alone, Brad. Like if you think of all the really different roles he's done, I mean, Ben is great too.
They're both great.
They're both great.
I mean, you've got great exes. Like, you can't really go wrong. You know what I mean?
And those are just the ones you know about.
Well, we're going to get to that. You can't tease me here, Gwyneth, and not expect. I was going to ask, we know a lot of your exes. But would you be willing to maybe drop a name of someone you've like even had a make out with that's A-list that like the world doesn't know about?
I don't think I could say the name.
Can you give
names?
us a hint? What about a little Leo action?
No, never made out with Leo.
Never.
He tried back in the day. But he was already like, he was very
doing his thing,
loose with the goods, from when he was 19.
What about Johnny Depp?
Never made out with him. We did a movie together, but we did not make out.
Bradley Cooper?
No, I don't even know Bradley Cooper. I mean, I've met him, but I've never
Yeah. Okay, well, we're going to have to sidebar, and you're going to have to tell me one name that I can like hold close to the chest.
I'll tell you after.
Okay. You also dated and married Chris Martin, one of the biggest musicians in the world.
Yep.
Shout out Coldplay. Love ya.
Shout him out.
We are going to do one last game.
Okay.
Fuck, marry, kill. Brad Pitt, Ben Affleck, and Chris Martin.
Wow. Well, obviously I'd marry Chris Martin because he gave me my 2 children who are the loves of my life. So I would do that all again. Wow. But kill is that's such a hardcore.
It's not actually. It's like put to the wayside.
Okay. I can
fuck one more time. I think we know your answer.
I think Brad.
Yeah.
And then Ben. Yeah.
God bless Ben.
God bless him.
God bless him and his Dunkin' Donuts. Okay, what initially attracted you to Chris?
So Chris and I met. It's a funny story. I was a huge Coldplay fan when his first album Parachutes came out, and I loved it. I was doing a movie in London again, as usual, and I was had the TV on in the background, and they were playing at Glastonbury, and when I heard the music and I had this very powerful reaction to it, I was like, this is incredible. And I watched their whole thing and I was like, this band is going to be huge. And no one had really heard of them in America at the time. I remember coming home and telling everyone about this great band. And they said, they're going to be playing this teeny show. I think it was maybe at the Bowery Ballroom or something. So I went with Mary, my best friend from kindergarten that I was telling you about. And because I was there, someone wrote in the newspaper that we were dating. We had never met. And I was like, what? He's 5 years younger than me. And I was like, please, I'm not we're not dating. I just went to this thing. And we thought, but they kept writing it all summer. And then that fall, my dad died, unfortunately, in sort of a surprising way. And my brother and I were listening to that Parachutes record. I mean, not Parachutes, Rush of Blood to the Head all the time. And I remember I had called Mary and I said, I need you to come to London. I can't breathe without my dad. I don't know what, to do. And so she came over, and then someone reminded me we had tickets to go see Coldplay that night, but from, months before my dad died. And I was like, I can't go. And she was like, Gwynnie, please, we can't, we have to get you out of the house and get some air, even if it's just and it was really hard for her too, because my dad was like her dad.
Yep.
And she's like, you've got to stop smoking cigarettes. We've got to get out of here. And I was like, okay. And so we went. And because they had been writing that we were boyfriend and girlfriend, his assistant, Vicky, who we still love to this day, she came and said oh, hi, this is so crazy. You want to go meet your boyfriend, after the show? So we went backstage and we met, and he was just so sweet. And I met him when he was 25 and I had just turned 30, and he was like Tigger the tiger, bouncing around. And I really didn't even think we would go out, but I don't know, he called me and asked me to come to Ireland to see him and go to a show, and I was so depressed. So I remember my other friend Henrietta at this time saying, you know, she was like, I said, this is crazy. This kid from Coldplay asked me to go, you know, see his concert. And like, this is nuts. Like, I'm not going. And she's like, yeah, you've got to go. This is the first time you've smiled since your dad died.
Oh my God.
So I went.
How was your relationship with Chris different from all of your like previous relationships?
Well, you know, there was just something, I don't know. I think there are certain things that kind of have felt preordained in my life. And like my children feel like, to me, like the whole reason I'm on this earth. And so when I met him, there was a very deep thing there. And I couldn't quite put my finger on it because it felt very different than my other relationships. And it's not so much that the relationship itself turned out to be like healthier than my other relationships. It's just that I think I had this deep calling on some level. I knew he was going to be the father of my kids, maybe, or something.
Oh my God.
It was a very strong feeling.
Yeah. I'm interested to know too, like, you know, you mentioned that right before you kind of met Chris, like a few weeks prior, your dad had passed.
Yeah, 3 weeks before.
How did that impact, do you think, like the early days of your relationship?
Yeah. I mean, I was broken. My father was, you know, like, I just adored him. And he was like, you know, my teacher, my rabbi, that he was like the comedian. He was like so unconditionally loving. And he was the center of all of my whole family kind of centered on him. So when he died, you know, I was completely like decimated. And so I was very raw and very open, you know, didn't totally have I couldn't see straight. Like I was in full grief. I don't know how Chris kind of like dealt with me through that time.
Yeah, because I'm interested, like, I think loss is, there's no way to describe like how you're going to grieve, and thinking about like meeting Chris, falling in love while also like deeply grieving.
Yeah.
Those are like very opposite emotional headspaces to be in.
Yes.
And when you look back, do you think that affected your perception of like of the relationship at all?
Probably. I don't see how it couldn't have.
Yeah.
Like I was so altered and so destroyed. I can't imagine it didn't, you know, and I can't imagine that I didn't project like hope and safety and future, you know, onto him because I was in such a bad state.
Yeah. So we talked about how you were engaged at one point to shout out Brad. And then you eventually, who doesn't love Brad? You love Brad. We all love Brad. I love how it's like Brad or Ben. This is about to be a game. You're like, Brad. I'm like, wait, I didn't play the game yet. We all love Brad. Shout out Brad. You know, we love you. So you got engaged and you said you weren't ready to be married.
Right.
You marry Chris. How did you know when it was time to end a marriage and to move on with your life?
Well, it was interesting because, again, like being so driven by this like feeling of the impending children, like I got pregnant really quickly and had our kids like in pretty quick succession. And so then you're sort of thrown into like, I was like in grief, and then I had Apple, and then I had Moses, and then I think you just try to make it work, especially for me, you know, I don't like I think we have barely any divorce in our family. All of my best friends from, you know, elementary school, high school, they're all married to like their college sweetheart. Like no one, I wasn't around to, like, I just felt like it was such a failure, and even contemplating us not being together. And I was so worried about it for the kids and for what it said about me, and it was so hard. And then, you know, I really wanted something very different to what he wanted, and I felt very kind of lonely in the marriage in a lot of ways. And I just finally got to the point where I thought, like, you know, I need to listen to myself. And so, you know, it wasn't until right after I turned, you know, it was like kind of around, it was sort of like around 38 that I started to sense that the marriage wasn't going to last. And then I tried really hard for another couple of years. But, you know, I say this all the time because it's true. You get this software upgrade when you turn 40. Like, you just get an upgrade. Like, you wake up and your software is fucking upgraded. And you're like, wow, this is bizarre. Like, I don't care what anybody thinks of me. Like, I like myself. Like, you click into this thing, and that happens again when you're 50, by the way. And it feels like you feel whole. And I just realized, like, I need to not be in this. I need something else. And it's okay if I'm alone, and it's okay if I disappoint people. And it's okay if I never find anyone again, all the things that you're so worried about, you know, when you're contemplating divorce. And I chose myself.
I love that. And thank you for sharing. Because I don't even, like, no matter where you're at in your life, I do feel like it kind of goes back to what you said of, like, we know when we're not happy, when we're not feeling it, when it's not right anymore. It doesn't mean it wasn't right.
Right.
But, like, we keep growing and we keep evolving as individuals. And naturally, sometimes that means you're going to outgrow a partner, or you're going to outgrow something that you initially were attracted to. And I think that's okay. And I think especially as women, it's like a very negative feeling and shameful feeling you have on yourself if it's you the one that's having those feelings. Because I feel like we always learned, like, men will leave and men will do this. But if it's you, like, it has been a pretty, like, new concept that, like, yeah. Oh my God, you can leave a marriage. Like, you can stand up for yourself. You can have a voice. So I appreciate you sharing that, because it is in some way inspirational to just know, like, you have these incredible children. You had a healthy marriage at one point, and then it's like, and then it's time to move on, and that's okay.
It is okay. It is okay. And it's like not what you want, and it's not, when you get married, it's not what you hope for, but it's okay if it's not the right thing anymore, you know? And for me, it really then became about, is it possible to stay a family with this person that I really love? And I wanted to minimize the impact on our children, which of course they're impacted, and divorce is terrible. And I know it was really hard on them. But I wanted it to be as least, you know, like, I wanted to try to figure out a way that Chris and I could stay like real family, which we have.
The last question I have on that is, like, has it gotten easier to co-parent? Like, in the beginning, I can imagine it's like any family feels it. Like, it's a little rockier, like trying to get your footing.
Yeah. And
then eventually, does it get to a place where, like, it does feel more cohesive?
If you work on it, like, you really have to work at it. And I think you have to choose every day to remember the good in the person, why you love them, you know, hold them with a lot of love and respect, and cultivate that, especially on days that you don't feel that, because you feel, you know, wronged or angry or whatever it is, you know. And so it became a practice for me to remember all the ways in which, you know, Chris was a blessing in my life. And, you know, and like, there are just things about him that are so fantastic, and he's so funny, and he's so talented, and he's goofy, and we all laugh a lot. And so I tried to really focus on those things, and then also use the opportunity to focus on my side of the street and what I had not done well, and what I could learn, and, you know, the ways in which I hurt him, and the ways, you know. So it was a big, I think, you know, it's probably best said, like, I really milked the opportunity. You know, it's like a divorce, it sounds weird to say it's an opportunity, but I really wanted to learn as much as possible, and I wanted to grow as much as I possibly could out of it.
Yeah. I kind of feel like a theme today is just, like, knowing what's best for yourself.
Yeah.
And you played a vital role in starting the Me Too movement, and you were very open about your experience. How did you decide to come forward and talk about everything?
It was scary because, you know, I had grown up watching the women who had spoken out be reviled, rejected, you know, pilloried in the town square. And I had never seen a model where a woman could speak out and there would be repercussions that were on the man and not on the woman. And so this was a story that, you know, everybody, it was like the worst kept secret. Not that Harvey Weinstein was raping people, but, you know, that he was sort of crossing boundaries and trying stuff on. And we all kind of knew that was happening. And like my story had happened to 10 of my friends, you know. But when I had learned the full extent of what he had done through my cooperation with the New York Times and talking to Jodi and Megan, who are two incredible women, incredible investigative journalists, I just thought, you know, this has got to stop. And I felt like if maybe there was a chance it could impact the workplace for my daughter and her friends, like I felt really obligated to say something.
Call Her Daddy is brought to you by Airbnb. Okay, Daddy Gang, you know I love a good party, but when my girl group chat asked me what I wanted to do for my birthday this year, I knew exactly what I needed. Last year I was like, let's rage our faces off. And this year I'm like, let's have just like some cozy quality time. Let's relax. And so we found a weekend for a girls trip. And naturally our next step was Airbnb to find the perfect house for all of us to just unwind and be able to spend time together. And staying in a house with your friends, in my opinion, it completely changes the vibe of the whole trip and it makes it more special. You can get to know the neighborhood together. You can go find your favorite coffee shops. Second, I just love feeling like roommates living in the same city together. Like all of my friends and I don't live in the same place. So when we get to stay in a house, it makes me kind of feel like we're in college again. Staying like locals also, I feel like helps you feel immersed wherever you are. And getting an Airbnb is the best way to not only explore a new city, but have a new space in that city. I love that Airbnb has something for everyone because my friends and I, there's a lot of different things that we're looking for when it comes to finding the right home, right? Some people want a big kitchen to cook in. Not me. Don't even care if there's a kitchen. Others want proximity to the beach. And then others want to make sure that they can bring their dogs and it's dog friendly. Do you know what I mean? Also, I want a hot tub. Love a hot tub. We have had so much fun going through Airbnb's guest favorites and sending each other ideas of homes. Like, do you want a cozy cottage with a porch? Do you want this luxe apartment with a disco ball? We did see one with that. Do you want to stay in like this crazy place that kind of like looks like a tree house? Regardless, our group chat was popping off with everyone sending different houses until we finally found the place that truly fits everyone's. And I was like, I'm booking it, girls. So we ended up picking a spot with a big couch by a fireplace. And I also know the wine conversations that on that couch in those pajamas are going to be unmatched. And we'll probably make it here on a solo episode of Call Her Daddy. So whatever your travel priorities are, they can be taken care of with an Airbnb. Do you want a big kitchen, a gym, somewhere you can bring your dog? Airbnb, it's my favorite way to travel, hands down. I appreciate also just how open you are about your experiences and kind of speaking about like, you know, raising children now in this new era as like women that can have a voice. Like, how do you talk to, I guess, both of your kids about like dating and sex and relationships?
I mean, I think you have to tread lightly and let them come to you. I remember my kids both went to this fantastic elementary school here in Los Angeles once we moved from London. And they taught them sex ed in 6th grade, which, yeah, like, okay, but I really was not prepared with the information that they came home with.
What did they say?
I will never forget Apple and her best friend Emily sitting at our kitchen banquet in shock, like color drained from their face. They taught them everything. Anything you're thinking, they taught like the 11, 12-year-olds. Told them everything.
What?
I swear.
And what are they saying to you? Like, Mom,
They're
learned.
like, do people do this? Like, it was beyond.
You're like, you know what? One day you'll hear a little bit more of this on Call Her Daddy, Apple.
Exactly.
And then it will be in a more appropriate
Well,
time.
that's what I was going to say. Then you took over. So I didn't have to tell her anything.
Holy shit. So I'm in Hawaii and I'm walking to the elevator with my boyfriend. We're staying at a resort. And I see this girl sprinting down the hallway with a bag. And I'm like, what is going on? I think she's beelining it to me. It is a fan of mine. And she hands me a Goop bag. And there's like a Goop store in this Hawaii resort.
Yes, the Mauna Lani.
Shout out. So I'm like, oh, thank you. She's like, I love you. Like, you've taught me so much. Like, I want you to enjoy your vacation, and winks at me. So I go upstairs and I open it, and it's a beautiful vibrator. And I was like, oh my God, this is incredible. And then immediately I'm like, thanks to Gwyneth, like, because I hadn't brought a vibrator on this trip. And it was used and it was used again. It was great. It was a great time.
God.
It was a great time.
I thought you were going to say, I thought you just said, like, meaning you opened the box and it was used. And I just died.
And this vibrator was fully used. Fuck you. No, I used it on my trip.
Okay, thank you.
It was phenomenal. And so I'm curious to know, because I'm a big advocate for toys and vibrators, especially for women. We have, like, obviously a harder time getting off. When is the first time you used a vibrator?
Wow. Probably when Sex in the City came out and, you know, Samantha was talking about, like, everyone. I remember, like, you would go to a bridal shower and, like, all of a sudden there were vibrators, like, as party favors. And
it's almost like they stopped being party favors and they need to be again, because I remember in college being like, I think I need one. This is disgusting. Well, it's not. I started to use the back of my electric toothbrush because I didn't know where to get a vibrator at the time, Gwyneth. Yeah, thanks to Goop, now we know where to go.
Thank
but
goodness.
At the time, it was like, I'll get a new toothbrush in the morning. Like, this is desperate times calls for desperate measures. And there I was with a good old back of the toothbrush. I didn't use it in the morning, everyone. Don't come for me. Why do you think women are so intimidated, though, by vibrators?
Well, you know, this is this could be like a very long discussion. I mean, there's such systemic shame for women historically around pleasure. And we are, to your point, we do live in a patriarchal society. The paradigms aren't there for female pleasure. And so we've been taught to be, like, ashamed of it, not ask for things, not say, like, this feels good or this doesn't feel good. And this is why at Goop we have really kind of indexed into this area, because I really feel like it holds us back so much. It's this one area where, and look, I'm still not comfortable talking about, like, this is inculcated in for decades. Like, and I'm so happy when I see it changing in your generation and Apple's, like, and this sort of freedom around the idea that women deserve pleasure. It makes me so happy to see that, but it has not always been that way.
You're so right. The shame comes from, obviously, as women, it's never been celebrated to, like, pleasure yourself. You hear about, like, men or boys when you're younger. It's like, oh, he's just touching himself. Oh, girl. It's like, stop doing that. Like, it's wrong. Just do it secretly. So now I agree that, like, it can be cute and fun and clean and not scary and veiny and too large that you're like, that's bigger than my thigh. Like, what is happening? So no, I really appreciate that you have what you've done, because now I have my little baby purple little, like, bullet vibrator in it. I use it all the time. I don't know if that freaks you out, but
not at all. Not in the slightest.
Okay, Gwyneth, what is the craziest place that you've had sex?
I mean, I don't know. I've been famous for so long that, like,
you're getting,
you know, I think one time back in the day, I did it in an airplane bathroom on an overnight flight to Paris.
Would you drop the name of who it was with?
It wasn't anyone famous.
Okay.
Isn't that terrible?
It's
Look at her
amazing.
face.
No, I'm like, I want the tea. I'm like, oh, that won't make headlines. No, I'm just kidding. No, that's great. Okay, so when you were famous, you were having sex with normal men.
Yeah.
You're a woman of the people.
I was. Yeah, of course.
How would you meet normal guys though and like not be freaked out?
Well, that's a good point. I mean, do you know, like I missed the whole dating app thing and all of that.
Thank
I
God.
totally missed that. Like one normal guy I dated when I was famous was, friends with my friends growing up in New York, like that kind of thing. I think I dated like one or two.
You're going to tell us who that other A-lister is at some point by the end of this interview. Okay. You started a wellness brand, but you did this before it was cool to like start a wellness brand. How did you come up with the concept of Goop?
Well, I think kind of circling back to where we started, by the time I had Apple, I felt like I really needed a break from acting. I had worked like nonstop for years and years and years, running. And I had her and I had like one of these moments in life and, we had like a really crazy birth. It was very dramatic. And I kind of at some point passed out after having a seizure. Anyway, I woke up and I opened my eyes and these like giant blue eyes were looking right at me. We were like this. And I was like, this is it. This is it. And Drew Barrymore actually said this to me the best, where she said when she looked into her daughter Olive's eyes, she had the same thing. And then she said to Olive later, I was born the day you were born. It always makes me cry because it's true. But that's how I felt. And like, I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't want to leave this baby. I don't want to go back to work. And luckily I was in a position where I could take some time off, with so many women in this country cannot do. And in Scandinavia, they do it in places like that, but we are not good at that. So I was very fortunate. And the longer I didn't work, the more I started to call into question, like, wait, was I doing that because I really loved it? Was it like, and I gave myself the space to kind of contemplate if I wanted to go back or not. I ended up not doing a movie for like 3 years. I had my son. And then I went back a little bit to do like smaller parts in Iron Man and stuff like that. But I actually never starred in a movie again since I was pregnant with Apple. Like, we were in my last starring role together. And then I did something which I think I would really encourage women to do, which is at some point stop and say, like, am I where I'm supposed to be? Am I doing what I love? Am I spending my life feeling fulfilled? And am I brave enough to give myself permission to do something different if I want to? And I knew that if I started a company, I would take a lot of shit for it. And people would be like, what is she doing? And there was no model for this except for the great Jane Fonda, who had, done her fitness business, but also took a ton of shit for that at the time. They called into question like her seriousness as an actress. Like, everybody likes us in one little box, But I was really interested in this other space, which was really essentially like connecting people to great things that would make their lives better. And I had always been that person for my friends. Like, what temperature do I roast a chicken at? Like, where can I get a bikini wax in Paris? Like, and I thought, God, I love answering these questions so much. I love doing the research. I love figuring it out. Like, maybe I could do this as a job. And so it percolated for a long, 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 long time. And I got a lot of advice from different people. And that's when I thought, okay, I'll just start it as a newsletter and then we'll see how it goes. And it was unmonetized. It was just, I just was sending content out. And it stayed like that for probably 5 years until I had the guts to start to think around monetization and what I would do.
It's amazing to hear you also explain it, because I agree with you. Like, when you immediately said Jane Fonda, as you were talking, I was thinking about Jane Fonda, because I'm like, it's so crazy that as you're trying to put something together that had never been done, your first reaction, even though like you knew you wanted to do it, we immediately think like, oh my God, everyone's gonna shit on me. Like they want me to just be an actress. Like just stay in your lane.
That's right.
And it's so detrimental because that's so not the only thing that you are talented with and that also that you're interested in. And so I love this story because it shows full circle of you putting into action an idea you had and then obviously creating something so much bigger that also is so helpful to so many women, including myself.
Thank you.
What is one Goop product that you wish you had in your 20s that now you're suggesting to Apple and her friends and like, you need this?
This is real because when I was in my 20s, I lay in the sun with baby oil on my face. I never used sunscreen. Believe me, I'm paying that price now.
You look great.
Thank you. I'll give you my surgeons.
Please.
Just
Please.
kidding.
But actually, please.
So I wish that I had taken greater care of my skin earlier. And what's so great now is that we've come so far with product development, and because clean beauty is a huge thing for me. Like, obviously that's why one of the main reasons we started Goop. I was appalled at the levels of toxicity in beauty products that are largely unregulated. We put all over our skin. They're transdermally absorbed. They mess with our endocrine systems. There's like real toxicity levels and a lot of stuff that we think is safe, and that just drives me crazy.
Yeah.
So I saw a real white space, to create these products. And anyway, like for the women out there now, like look, I would recommend, we have this new eye cream that's coming out right now that's so incredible, and it's like packed full of vitamin C, and it's got caffeine and niacinamide, and it works so well, and it's very preventative as well. So I can use it for my crow's feet and my dark circles, and Apple can use it preventatively.
I love it. I need it.
We brought you one.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. You recently also launched the Goop Sex Instagram channel.
Yes.
What's a conversation that you're looking forward to having on that page?
Well, again, like just to sort of traverse back over what we were saying, it's so important for women to have places that they can, and resources. And like, that's why what you do is so fantastic in terms of destigmatization, creating a space where women can explore these questions and these feelings and like the normalization. It's really beautiful. And I'm so glad that you do what you do.
Thank you.
And we really felt like, there's more to explore here in terms of questions people have, products, etc. So we thought we'd make a dedicated page. I learned from the Goop Sex page. Like, I'm like, wow, what is this?
I love that. One of my last questions is, I was just thinking about this for a second. Like, what do you think is a misconception about you?
Oh, I think there are probably a few. I think like maybe not as much anymore, but I think like there was a misconception like that me and Goop, that we together were like wacky or, like dealing in pseudoscience, which is such bullshit. And like, we're actually so rigorous around like what we're talking about. And sometimes we talk about really cutting edge things, but we really label the content as that. So we're not saying this is fact. We're saying like, this is an emerging theory or something. So I think that's a way to keep also the power of the brand down, right? So it's like, if you're threatening the status quo, like people used to throw that at us a lot.
What about personally?
I think I can maybe come off or look quite cold maybe, or like unapproachable, I've heard, but I think I'm really opposite to that. Like, I do think I'm so curious about people, and I think I'm warm, but
when you walked into my house, I was like, oh my gosh, hi. We like hugged, and I was like, I felt like a part of the family when Apple walked in. I'm like, oh, we're all going to hang. Like I can dispel that rumor now. I have a gift for you.
Really?
Well, it's kind of I'm going to give it to you.
It's Brad Pitt, guys.
No. I saw a comment you made. Okay, wait. I saw a comment you made on the internet.
Okay.
And I wanted to gift you this.
What did I say? Oh my God. I always, me and my internet comments.
Oh my God.
Oh, this is so good. I hope you got one for Apple too.
Oh my God, I should. Love it. I saw your comment on Hailey Bieber.
This is so good. I'm going to wear this loud and proud.
I truly love it. No, Gwyneth, thank you so much for coming on. This was truly so fun.
Thank
It wasn't too aggressive, right?
Not at all.
You had a good time.
I'll check in with her and see what Apple has to say about it.
Apple, we're going to walk in is like this. No, seriously, thank you for coming on. This was so fun.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you
so much. That was really fun.
That was so fun. I was dying laughing. You were comedy.